He's one of those regulars that's kind of gone a little bit downhill.
Yeah, most regulars do. Anyone who goes out drinking that much at any bar.
Is he still drinking his gin and tonics like 7 a night? Like,
I'm sure he was. That shitty ass well gin. Fuck.
He started slowing down. Well, his thing is he just wanted to play pool, and he'd get mad if somebody didn't want to play pool with him. I mean, he really was. He would get mad because nobody would want to play with me. What the fuck you want me to do?
yeah.
What are you, a toddler? I'm not going to hold your hand, man. Just...
Well, then go to another bar that's got a pool table. Maybe you can play some pool up there. Like, go to the CC Club.
He just started getting crabby.
Well, yeah. I mean, he was crabby all the time. He's crabby. You know, he was cool, but then he'd be like getting so drunk and he'd be like, "Where's my phone?" Blah, blah. I'm like, dude, get out of here. Like, you gotta go. I kicked him out on more than one occasion, you know. I mean, I don't know. I liked kicking people out anyway, so it was my pleasure.
I'm not following COVID rules, but cheers, boys. It's been a while since the three of us have all been together.
Yeah.
Thanks for coming back. Let me give you guys a fair warning. I didn't tell you guys this while we were getting ready. I went to Pagoda last night, I think it's called. Mm-hmm. It's a hot pot place out in... It's in like Dinkytown. It's actually like right by Varsity Theater. But anyway, my gas has been smelling like the broth of last night's hot pot.
What did you eat?
Everything. Have you ever done the hot pot experience?
No.
So you order you pick your broth and they basically like bring out like a little like stove top that sits at your table.
Okay.
And it burns and it boils it and you cook and they bring out like all your vegetables and meat raw. And you put it in there and it cooks.
So you're basically cooking for yourself.
You're basically cooking for yourself. And then you still have to tip 20% for cooking all the food.
So is it like ramen? Is that what it's like?
Kinda. Yeah. No, there's ramen noodles. Like they have different types of noodles you can get. I think it's Chinese. Is the culture that like kind of started it.
Well, okay. It reminds me of like the Japanese.
And then do they bring out like a hot grill where
it reminds me of like the Japanese ramen.
Yeah, get nice and close to that mic, like it's about to be your first kiss all over again.
God. I remember that. It was a long fucking time ago.
Yeah, I can't even remember my first kiss either. Some people distinctively like remember their first kiss.
I can remember mine.
Can you?
Yeah.
Do you know?
What was her name?
Her name was Jamie.
I dated a Jamie. I like a Jamie. I dated a Jamie.
Seventh grade.
Oh.
And it was at a football game, like our high school football game.
Oh, that's awesome, though.
Yeah.
Everybody got to see your first kiss?
Yeah. Well, everybody that was around. I mean, whatever. It is what I mean, you're seventh grade. How old are you? 13, 12, 13? How old are you in seventh grade? I don't
14?
know.
See, I don't even...
No. You're right. You're like 12, 13.
I think my first kiss wasn't until like 14 or 15.
I don't know if you've still got your first kiss yet. But,
yeah,
I mean,
but shut up, Troy.
I guess you don't kiss when you're beating buns. Yeah. Like the abusive baker.
Kissing myself.
Yeah, I know.
Kissing my own ass, at least.
That's all I can do right now during COVID.
Exactly. Yeah. So do you miss bartending yet, Daddy?
No, not one bit. Not at all. I don't. Now my schedule's changed. I'm on days. I work 7 to 7.
Mm-hmm.
4 days on, 3 days off, 3 days on, 4 days off. So I have, and it works in like my holiday pay every 4. So 1 week I only work 36 hours. I get paid for 40 because I get my 4 hours of holiday that's accrued throughout the year. And then I get 8 hours overtime every week.
Nice.
So, and I'm done at 7 p.m. on Friday. I work Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, every other Saturday. Right now. It's rad. I'm done at...
That's a sweet schedule.
Yeah, I'm done Saturday night at 7 p.m. at the latest. And then I'm off Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. It's awesome. So,
so enjoying...
I would think that's a really stressful job, though.
Well, it is, yeah.
There's definitely times. It's like being an air traffic controller. There's not much going on, then all of a sudden you're like, holy shit.
So when Joey and Phil buy a bar, you're not going to go work over there with them?
I'll consult with them, but I'll consult and I'll maybe invest. It's kind of tough though being a small time partner and being the best bartender of the whole group. So it would be tough.
Well, you got to think, if Chino Latinos didn't make it, do you think you guys can make it? Chino Latinos, the Uptown staple. Did you see that? They just announced that they closed down, I think, today.
I knew they were closing like 6 months ago, though. Like, the owner's 100 years old. Yep. He wants out of it. They're only going to keep Pittsburgh Blue and, like, their suburban and Murray's downtown. That's all they're really keeping.
Okay. See, I feel like that place was always busy, though. I remember, like, when we were talking about, like, some of our friends that work there, and then would come into Williams, like, to get into bartending over there, basically someone had to die. Like, there was a point in time.
I've seen the bar. There was a point in time with that, but I've seen some shitty bartenders over there, too, that I've worked with in the past at, like, Boneyard and Green Mill, but... It wasn't a lack of volume that they were doing. They were still busy all the time. He just wants out. Like, he's in his 80s, I want to say. Like,
doesn't want to just sell it or hand it down to someone, though?
Like, way too long, but you know what I mean?
And I think he's kind of stepping down from the Paris Soleil company in general. And so he wants to get his money's worth and, like, hand it off to the rest of the investors and the people that are on the board. and not have to manage it, not have to operate, because he was very hands-on.
Yeah.
So,
and I still laugh, dude.
I mean, he used to have the Ophelio when it was in Calhoun Square, and then Elgato too. I want Burger Jones is a Paris Soleil restaurant that they had their hands in, you know, Calhoun and I think Burnsville. So they had a lot of ventures, but
the white trash burger from Burger Jones.
So good.
Anyone who knows that, it's just fucking cheese curds, bacon, just about. Think of any white trash type of food, fried just shit, and put it on a burger. That's what it is.
Country fried bacon. Yeah, it's bacon dredged in flour and deep fried, like awesome. Velveeta and cheese curds on this burger. It was so good.
Man, dude, you are going to be shitting your pants for the next week after you eat that thing. And I laugh. One thing I kind of like have a shitting and grin about my face is like, it's gonna sound mean because I see all these like really like awesome like restaurants closed down and whatnot, but Williams still prevails through it all. I don't know how.
We'll see for how long.
We're barely. Yeah,
you think so, Joey? Guys are barely making it. Like, because I don't know. Because Williams was that spot when shit was normal. People thought that bar was gonna go down. Like, you know what I mean? How like I probably the past like 3-4 years, people I've heard have told me rumors they've heard about Williams getting closed down. I know when Scott like officially sold like the place to those people. A lot of people thought that was for sure at the end of it, which I still don't even understand that deal he got. She sold the place, now he pays lease on it per month.
Well, no, he owns a third of the building.
Okay.
Yeah. But I always thought he was trying to sell it. I think I told you that. Like this whole update and the whole kitchen update, I thought he was just trying to sell it, but I didn't know that he didn't own the building anymore.
Yeah, I knew that right away.
So I didn't know that.
Because he needed that capital to do the renovation. Yeah. So that's why he sold 2/3 of the building, so he could have that capital to redo the reno.
God, I wish I would have known that. He shouldn't have touched it.
Yeah, he shouldn't have renovated it all. He should have held onto the building.
He shouldn't have renovated it all. No, in my opinion.
Well,
all that money.
I'm glad he made
prices are like through the roof, which is fine because it's COVID right now. So it's fine.
Well, I'm glad he upgraded the speakers. The speakers needed to get upgraded in that building. They just sounded like shit when you would turn them loud.
We're not a dance club either, though.
No, but
you're a bar in the city in the heart.
Be able to hear music without distortion.
That system's sweet, dude.
Yeah,
I love our system, and it is cleaner.
Yeah. I'm not saying you need to go all out, but that old system is just distorted and static. Yeah. Well, you couldn't turn it up that loud. You know what I mean? You got a majority of the clientele is all like college kids and people in the young 20s. They just want to get drunk and play loud music and try to flirt with girls and get rejected.
I think that's the one thing he probably spent the money correctly on.
Was the sound system?
Yeah, but I mean, he did the kitchen and then all the 324 different bottles and nobody gives a shit.
I think he probably overpaid for the system, I'm sure. I don't think he maybe did his research. Probably. I don't know. I'm just guessing.
Well, he probably bought like a bundle deal. Saw some like $20,000. It probably cost at least $5-10 grand, dude. Those subs he's gotten are fucking huge. And plus, like installing it, at least I would say $5 grand.
Yeah, and then he's using crowns.
Probably on the low end.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think that whoever talked him into that fucking kitchen needs to be smacked.
Well, that's his own doing, though,
4 flat top. I've been
remember
that forever.
The microphone is your first kiss.
Oh,
sorry.
Okay, well, I guess you are. This was Joey Smalls when he was getting his first kiss. He was like, the girl was going in. Joey was going back. No.
Do you need to get him? Maybe he needs a step stool. I don't know.
Yeah.
I need a step stool.
These chairs go up, dude. Like you can boost them up. Like,
man.
I'll never forget the Scott Brenda quote. He's like, picture this. 30, 40-year-olds sitting here watching the Gopher game, drinking whiskey, eating pancakes. And I looked and I laughed. And Joe looked at me to not laugh.
Yeah.
It was quiet. We were the only 3 in the bar. It was like on a Saturday morning open. And I was like, you got to be kidding me. Like, this is your idea? Like,
yeah, for like complete opposite clientele.
Obviously.
Well,
that's a big one.
Scott's living in the 20-year past, right? He wants to be like the old Uptown Diner. Well, the Uptown Diner was rad. It had live music. It was small. It's where the Apple store is.
Yeah.
It was a diner. It was not Uptown Diner, Uptown Bar. Sorry. You know, it was a real simple Bloody Mary. It was $6. You got to refill your glass that you keep for $2. It was Bloody Mary on the gun. You know, it was vodka, Bloody Mary on the gun, and like a lime and an olive. And you got to keep your glass, and your glass said Uptown Bar on it. And I'm sad, like my last one finally broke, but I'm like, I got this 15 years ago, you know, when I first started coming uptown.
That's fucking cool.
Yeah, and that was a good shit. Where now these big pickle Bloody Marys, like, get the fuck out of here. That's the dumbest thing I've ever seen. Like,
I think I made maybe one when I was going over there. That was like the big thing. We'll go have these giant Bloody Marys with just like a pickle that's like a porn star's cock. I mean,
and like the Bloody Mary, you get more pickle than you do Bloody Mary. Like those tiny ass glasses.
Yeah. The pickle doesn't even fit on it. It sucks that.
Well, it's like the big G&T.
Yeah.
You just get one, you get a big lime. That's it.
I know, it's so dumb.
Yeah, and just as we were talking earlier, it's really shitty that Halloween falls on a Saturday of all fucking years. Like, you only get one every 7 years for it.
Well, with everything going on now, it's not going to be a big deal.
Yeah.
It's going to be a pain in the ass.
Right. People would still dress up and go out. I wasn't sure if Halloween was just going to be fucking canceled or not this year when it comes to like trick-or-treating and whatnot. I'm surprised it didn't.
I think there's going to be more house parties than normal this year, though, and less of the bar scene.
See, that's what I was kind of thinking. I was honestly thinking maybe we're going to be busier on Friday night. Because all the house parties are going to be on Saturday.
Yeah.
Well, because even April... Have you met April? You know April, the server. She's having a party.
She's a hoe.
So April, stop, rude. April,
I did.
April, Bailey, and Maddie are going to the party. And I'm like, yeah, go ahead.
So now they can't work,
Yeah, but we're not going to be that busy anyway. But I think everybody's going to be doing parties. I'm more concerned. Again,
I'm going to a party
Friday we could be fucking busy.
Yeah, I'm going to a party too. Actually,
Go ahead.
Okay, my buddy. You remember my buddy John, the door host, when when used to fall asleep over there? The one that, well, you know who had a thing for at the time, kinda. Hook up.
I don't remember.
A coworker.
I don't.
Okay, anyway, doesn't matter. So him and one of my other mutual friends from high school bought 5 acres of land out in Wisconsin. And they're building a stage out there, trying to hold concerts and festivals and shit. And they actually got a giant tent, a heated tent over there.
And they got a license.
They got a stage made up. So I've asked them a lot, like the legal questions, because I don't know. I love them. And I was trying to help him with it as much as I could, but I don't know how much they actually thought it through. But they said he looked up online. He could have up to 500 people before he needed like a type of permit or license.
No, and how many porta potties would you have to have?
Well, he's not having that many people out there this Saturday. This Saturday it's just going to be like...
I don't care about any Saturday. Like
it's literally
that sounds awful.
It's literally the first show they're trying to throw out there. And they did get a couple porta potties. And then I think they're just planning like 20 to 50 people right now.
Okay.
It's a pretty fucking ambitious goal to get into.
Yeah,
and I respect them for just...
being entrepreneurial.
You know what I mean? For kind of just going after a dream. You know what I mean, if you will? A dream or like some sort of like hobby, whatever it is for them.
Okay. Where in Wisconsin did you buy this mystery land?
I don't know. It's kind of rural. I'm kind of in the middle of fucking nowhere off a dirt road. It's probably like just 2 hours from here.
Like over by like Eau Claire or closer to like Danbury?
No, I can look up the exact city that it's by
like
here.
the high school parties we had on
I know,
Friday,
yeah.
Saturday
I
nights.
mean, we had
it was all farms.
we had cornfield parties, you know.
They have 50,000 watts of bass out there, though. So shit's going to get loud.
50,000 watts of bass?
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know what that means, but...
It means...
For the sound system?
Yeah.
Well, I know what that means, but I'm just like, I don't know.
I mean, there's going to be bass in your face, dude.
Yeah,
like,
I mean,
there's so much bass, dude. Like, probably, like, shake
How
off
many
some of those
speakers?
loose hairs you got in your beard.
Yeah.
5.
They have 5.5.
But it's all, like, woods and shit.
Yeah, but how many acres? Well, then
5 acres.
5 acres and there's still trees and shit like that?
It's, like, all trees.
The sound's going to be horrible.
It's, like, all trees over there.
Is there any clearing?
They've been clearing it out over there. But anyway, that's what I'm doing on Halloween.
Okay.
I'll take some videos and I'll send it to you guys.
I'll take some videos, too, at my Halloween party. I'll be in San Diego, so...
Okay.
What Halloween party go?
I don't know, whatever one's in San Diego.
Okay.
Well, what's...
You're just going to walk into a party?
Yeah.
Well, the talk is that they're shutting down the street in PB. So, like, all the bars will be outdoor vendors, so you don't have to sit down and order food, and they'll just close the streets off. That's the kind of party I'm going to. It's not like a house party, necessarily. I'm going to a
So they're doing like
sounds lame. There better be
like
slutty
a one-night
costumes.
permit where it's open container?
Yeah, kind of deal. And they shut down the street. And
Oh, that would be cool.
yeah.
Trying
And
to
you're
find
right by
the
the
address of
ocean.
this place here, because now I'm curious.
What are you going to
Maybe
be,
you
Doug? What's
guys
your
have-
costume?
I don't know. I haven't got one yet. I still have that Robin Hood costume that I wore.
Oh, yeah, I remember that.
I wore that on Williams one Halloween year, and everyone thought I was fucking Peter Pan. I was getting really, it was really irritated by it. Like, I'll be honest, Lorraine or Frederick.
Okay, I don't know where that is.
Yeah, I told you it's in the middle of fucking nowhere, basically. Lorraine or Frederick, Wisconsin. But yeah, I was probably gonna wear. I mean, that's the only costume I got.
So are you bringing a tent or something? You're gonna?
I was probably gonna leave. No, I was probably gonna leave. I'm gonna go out there with my girl. She's gonna be like bored the whole time.
Are
She's
you going to pop
older.
some Molly?
Just thinking about it.
Yeah.
I don't know. If I did, maybe just a little bit.
So are they doing bands or DJs?
Here, how about this? Well, here's a good topic we can get into. So she's never done Molly, and she doesn't drink right now. She's sober. And she wants to actually do some for the first time of it. She's not really into like the EDM scene, you know what I mean, or any of that shit. And she said she's always kind of like wanted to try it or whatever. Which kind of sucks is like I've done that shit so much, I'm like over it.
You mean your brain is fried?
Yeah. I was trying to, have a nicer way to say it that makes me sound better, but no, my brain's just too fried for it. If I pop one more, it might just turn into a fucking egg. I don't know.
Or you have to do so much to get the effect of it, or
I think I get to a point where it's like if I do it, if I don't get a certain high, that like I'm searching for like a specific high when I do that now. And if I do like, and if I'll just keep eating it, and I'll get like almost like butthurt and kind of moody. You know what I mean? If it's not as
that's
good
like
as I
every
want.
drug, right? Though,
It's kind of
Yeah.
like mushrooms.
All those stimulants make you like that. If the stimulants doesn't give you the high that you want for, that's when you get like angry and agitated.
You should really try heroin then. I heard that really
Yeah,
good.
that's a lot more relaxing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You got a heroin guy, maybe? I don't know.
Yeah, it could be falling asleep then out there
know.
instead of headbanging all night.
Make sure you have the Narcan with you.
Right. So I don't know. She wants to do some. I told her I'd be down to do like maybe a little bit.
Do you
What do
take
you
it in a
guys
pill
think?
form, or do you pinky dip it, or how?
You just said a little bit's not going to work.
Yeah.
You're not going to do a little bit.
Well, I mean, for her though.
For her,
Oh,
yeah.
you know what I mean.
But if you do it, you're not going to do a little bit.
See, I think if I can just take a little bit's almost better now. Everything in moderation. A little bit of Molly, a little bit of seltzers. It'll be a good time.
Okay.
You guys can come out there.
I won't.
One of
but
these. Well, there'll be more shows next in the summer times coming up here.
I'm
So
prep.
what
Okay.
genre of music?
It's
Is it
all
EDM?
EDM, heavy dubstep. Like it's probably it's like the people there that
I didn't
he's
know
bringing
dubstep
out
was a
there.
thing anymore.
Yeah, well, it is for these people that live in the
Okay.
past.
Yeah, it's probably like the type of music that makes people like hate EDM. You know what I mean? That like fucking laser beams, cannons. Flying kittens, you know what I mean? Like crashing into trees, like the most obnoxious type of sounds that you guys can think of.
Okay.
All
I-
That sounds like a good time.
all compiled together on top of each other.
I
Okay.
think
That's basically that's dubstep.
Is there a
Yeah.
particular band that you're thinking about with dubstep?
like,
Oh no, there's no bands. They're DJs.
I thought,
What the
I
fuck are you
thought
talking
dubstep was
about?
dead, just like reggaeton and moombahton.
No.
Probably.
who's a big dubstep artist?
Okay,
Like
Excision would be
Marshmello?
the big
Laserbeak?
guy.
It was Laserbeak Trap.
No, Excision is like the
Well, he's here.
yeah. I guess you could say Excision is probably one of the more mainstream dubstep artists.
Skrillex? Is he dubstep?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, I consider him, but he's not. He doesn't really make new music anymore.
No. Marshmallow?
He's kind of about no.
Flostradamus. Remember Flostradamus?
Yeah,
They're more.
he's kind of. I believe they consider him trappy.
I was going to say
all
they're kind of trap, yeah.
yeah.
I don't know any of the terms. Like,
See, I'm surprised you even Joyce.
I DJ'd for like 3-4 years and it was
Did
like,
you?
I'm done. Oh,
When did you
I
do
just
that?
did moombahton and reggaeton, and I would mix like hip hop in it. I did it with the DJ Shannon Blowtorch, and I just did it like once a month. Do you know who she is?
No,
She's like a
she hot.
she's
It's the only
she used to
question
be a
that
stripper,
matters.
but she's in
Do you have the
The
one you had a
LGBT
threesome with?
say what?
The one you had a threesome with?
No.
Okay.
She's in the LGBT scene, but she did like Berlin, which was once a month, and it was for mainly lesbians, but they didn't want to do top 40,
Mm-hmm.
so we did that. So it was more indie stuff. Again, like moombahton, reggaeton, if you ever heard of that. So it was kind of the indie stuff, and then they did Soul Friday, which is women of color, and I worked with that, and we did that again once a month.
So politically
then
correct.
How did you get involved with that? Because you are neither a woman nor of color. So,
So
and then you get a little white man in there.
Blowtorch, we shared the alley, so she was my neighbor, and then it was right when I was getting divorced, so I would hang out over there a lot, because my ex was still at the house before she left, and then I just got into DJing with her, just fucking around at night, like 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning. And then all of a sudden, she was doing shows that would last like 3-4 hours. So she just wanted me to like hop in for a half hour, like twice. And that's how I got into it.
Okay.
And it's just beat matching if you know music at all.
Yeah.
It's not that hard.
So you're just like acting like you know what you're doing, but you're really not doing shit with all those knobs.
Well, no.
Twisting the volume up and down.
I'm just beat matching. That's all I'm really doing. So
beat matching and moving a slider.
Yeah.
I mean, most of that shit that they're doing, they're really not doing a whole lot.
Yeah. Well, like the bar DJs, they're not.
Mm-mm. Well, it was great for me because I didn't have to read people. If you know what I mean, because like with her,
trying to read your crowd.
She had to read the crowd and stuff. I would just hop in the middle. I already knew what people were liking at that time, so I just threw myself in there.
You just threw your preset on of like some songs that are in like the top 40 that people are gonna like.
Well,
and
it wasn't
dance
even
to.
that, but it was like the beats per minute are already there because when you're beat matching, you can't go from like a 90 to a 180.
Why not?
Well, you can because it's cut in half actually. But if you're doing like a really low, really high, you can't beat match that. If you know what I mean, because you want to go from one song and then
want to have like a smooth
another
transition.
That's what I mean by beat matching. That's all it is.
Okay.
Like the DJ. I don't know if you ever went to Fremont on a Friday, Saturday.
Yeah,
heard that DJ.
Squints.
Yeah. What was that
my
one DJ?
God, the guy does not know. I don't know if that's the same one. Doesn't know how to beat match at all. At all. He would scratch just to go to another song and think that's a good way to transition.
What is it? I mean, they had the same.
I don't know if it's the same guy.
It was the same one for like a long time.
It's always been Squints. I mean, he's good enough to DJ for the Minnesota Timberwolves, so I mean,
I don't know if it's the same guy, but the guy I listened to like twice.
Yeah,
he did not beat match at all, like at all.
God, got to step your beat match game up, bro. Like that's something. Are bar DJs considered like music producers? You know what I mean? I feel like almost anyone could be a bar DJ.
I just had this conversation today, actually, about
it just became really popular. Sorry to interrupt.
I just had this conversation with my roommate. How I was like, they're people that do those scenes are like super douchey. Because my roommate's got a lot of DJ friends, and she's into that EDM scene and like goes to those festivals and does those drugs or whatever. And I'm like, but like the people like Strangelove who does like Rev and Union Rooftop and Kegs and Eggs at Cowboy Jack's and nothing. He's kind of douchey, but like Squint's nothing against him who does Fremont and he does the T-Wolves and whatnot. Like,
okay.
Yeah, I could do that too. Like, give me an afternoon to figure out it on whatever, GarageBand or Pro Tools.
Watch a few YouTube videos.
Yeah, I feel like I could make a playlist and then I could act the part up there and I could move the slider.
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
Well, you had to build up.
Yeah. Well, that was what I was talking about was like I didn't have to read the crowd. I already had my set.
Yeah, you had a pre-recorded set.
Yeah, so it was pretty simple. And I just would have to match it. But it's already set. It's pretty simple. I didn't have to do a whole lot.
And I feel like that.
But the good DJs, it's difficult, but there's not a lot.
Well, yeah, if you're actually producing your own stuff, it's completely different. Like producing like your own music, making it, and then playing it at a bar, compared to taking everyone's songs and then blending them together and speeding it up and whatnot, and turning up the volume up and down.
You know who does that? That's what radio people do. That's what Dave Ryan does.
Yeah.
He hits play and then he blends one into the next, and then that's what he does. And then he talks for like 90 minutes about God knows what. And then he plays 2 more songs.
I can't believe that guy's
like
still fucking doing this talk show, to be honest.
I bet you he's one of the higher paid radio disc jockeys in the city.
Oh, for sure.
Between him and what's that guy in KQRS, Tom Bernard.
Okay,
he's been doing it forever.
See, I remember my mom loved. So I went to Queendam Hall for high school, and my mom taught there. So I was forced to go there. Anyway, that's a whole other story. I remember listening to Dave Ryan like almost every fucking day until I got a license in my own car because my mom just loved him. I mean, that was 15 years ago now.
Oh, fuck. I was listening to Dave Ryan 25 years ago.
Yeah, dude.
It seems like it, like riding the bus to school.
Yeah.
I mean, I've been out of high school for 20 years, and I feel like we were listening to Dave Ryan when I was in high school still.
I'm surprised a lot of these radio guys are even still doing numbers like enough. You know what I mean? Because you got to think, like, back then, I'm sure the numbers were a lot higher because, you didn't have like the podcast game and all these YouTube videos and all these audio books, and everyone's like got their own podcast, their own Audible that they listen to now.
So like, the only radio I listen to is the current.
Yeah. So they
once in a while. Yeah. That's once in a while. I don't
so the radio talk show like has all this brand new competition all of a sudden that they didn't have 20 years ago.
Yeah, but they still have the following, and it's like you don't change an old habit necessarily. Like, yeah, I still might listen to the podcast, and I do, but it's like when I'm driving home and it's, Chris Carr in the morning on K102, I'll flip that on because I am familiar with that, and I listen to that, and I listen to their bits, and I know them, or Dave Ryan or whoever, I listen to in the morning. It's like the same people. So it's like, well, rather than listen to a podcast or my own music, this is just easy and mindless. I can just listen to them blab on. So, and I think there's a lot of people like that are like not selective, whether it's in the morning or on their ride home from work and whatever.
I like the half-ass morning show. Sometimes they get too much into sports, and I don't really care for sports all that much.
Yeah.
But those guys are funny. Can't think of their names, but you guys sneeze? You okay?
I thought I was going to sneeze.
Doing a little,
a
little bit of blow before you got here?
Just a little.
Okay.
I don't
Could you
ever listen to
blow? Jesus.
Yeah.
Well, maybe you'd move faster behind the bar. I don't know.
Oh!
It's those little legs, I know.
Yeah.
But at least you're real friendly to all the guests.
It looks like I'm going really fast, though.
Yeah. He makes up in customer service with it.
We pull all the money, and he's just nice to the guests.
Yeah.
Keep him coming back next weekend.
Yep.
For your 1 on 40.
I will say Smalls has had more. I've never seen more people come in and ask for a bartender than I have Joey Smalls. No one really asks for you.
For me?
Yeah.
Well, that's
been
fine.
like a year.
Yeah, it's been almost 2 years since I worked there. That's
Professor Phil asks, is Corey Cove still on that show?
Isn't Corey Cove on K-Fan?
See, a lot of those radio talk show guys, they move around a lot now. Because I remember the one guy that was on Dave Ryan's, Crisco. Just a big goofy. He was a goofy dude, but like I enjoyed him. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think he's on KS95 now.
Yeah, he is now. Like KDWB, like one thing I have noticed about that, they just burn through fucking interns, dude. That place, they probably just pay an intern shit money, or like probably don't pay him anything at all. Like, but you could be on the Dave Ryan morning.
That's
show.
Really good exposure, though. Like,
it is, no, for sure. Like,
especially when you're probably the number 1 or number 2 or your top 5 radio show, obviously in the Twin Cities. If not top 2. I don't know. Like you said, the Power Trip morning show with, K-Fan, those guys pull a lot of business, and Chris Carr and Kia and those people over at K102 probably pull a lot of people. Like, they're always doing stuff and doing productions and like doing promos. And I'm sure on KDWB it's the same thing. And it's like, well, you're one of the big radio DJs in the metro. You're going to have a lot of clout, especially if you go elsewhere, to a smaller radio station where you get your own show. So as an intern or a secondary or third figure, then you go on and you're like, all right, I get my own show because I have this clout.
Yep, sure.
So
that's what the Current did with quite a few, right?
Man, the Current, I don't know.
I mean, I haven't listened to the Current lately. They're so emo right now anyway, the last like 5 years.
Yeah. And I feel like they have some poor business practices too, but
when they first started, I loved them. Like
I did too. And I was
their
like,
local and indie scene was fucking awesome. I love what they were playing. But then they got really emo, and they
as long as they play different shit. KDW, like, I hate it when I'm listening. Throw a KDWB song, they're playing, I don't know, some fucking Cardi B song, whatever. So I switch, and you go to K-Fan, okay, same fucking Cardi B song, and then you go to like a different station, the hip hop one now. I forget what it's called, but Peter Parker does work on there now. I forget like the exact name of the station, but they'll be playing the same fucking song too. It's like shit like that's why people hate the radio.
Yeah, but I mean, you're playing to what the crowd wants, and if you want to hear WAP 2 times an hour, then that's what the people...
Well, I don't want to hear it censored. I don't mind hearing WAP 2 times an hour. Just
do you like WAP?
Censor it.
Is that your jam? Okay.
Yeah, I like it.
What's WAP?
Wet Ass Pussy by Cardi B.
Yeah,
Megan Thee Stallion.
Okay.
Whether you agree with that song or not, like, I can admit that the lyrics are clever.
Well, what are you going to disagree?
Yeah, I mean, Doug doesn't like wet ass pussy, first of all.
No, I love wet ass pussy. Well, do you like dry ass pussy?
He likes dry ass ass.
Yeah, there you go.
DAA.
No, censoring rap is like censoring porn. Like, I've heard the censored version of WAP, and she's like, "What you gonna do for this wet and gushy is what it was. What you gonna do for this wet and gushy?" And then she calls like her pussy a cookie and one. I mean, one of the song lyrics.
I think that's clever though too. Versus it just being blanked out and it being, "What you gonna do for this wet what you're gonna, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like,
so I remember hearing certain rap songs where they don't add any filler into it. It's like it's just a fucking beat half the time.
Yeah.
Like.
so I think that's actually even more clever when you write your own.
Well, you at
censored
least
version.
try something. Yeah.
I mean, it sounds dumb, but it is what it is. You know, you get
Right.
radio play and it's your entire song at least, and not half edited.
There still isn't much EDM radio play on any mainstream ones. If you got like Sirius XM, there's a bunch of like EDM channels up right there. But that's the one that doesn't get a lot of I should say daytime radio play, because I don't know if you want to count like KDWB and Sensations. They do like their Friday and Saturday night like dance party shit, but they won't play like fucking Skrillex in the middle of the afternoon. Man, you know.
Again, you're playing to your
that.
crowd. I
Yeah.
don't know if Afternoon
true.
Skrillex is really a chart hopper, you know, like
yeah.
unless it's bangering, and then it's
No, it's
pretty
funny,
cool.
and you make a good point. Like, you're playing to your crowd, and there's so many people that bitch about the radio. It's like, well, you guys are the ones that that asked for this.
Yeah,
They go by the ratings, right?
sure.
They go by who's listening to what.
they're a bunch of not Phils, sheep.
Yes.
Phil is not a sheep,
No.
Not at all.
so
You're saying that because he's listening.
Yeah, I know,
to us,
yeah.
isn't he?
Yeah, he had to throw a jab in there when he could.
well, I mean,
isn't, though.
he's an independent thinker, which is fine. Where the people that listen to the radio are a bunch of sheep, and they all want to hear WAP twice an hour, and they want to hear the new Taylor Swift, 3 times a day, and they want to hear whatever, whatever's hot.
I can also be the Phil because you think you want to hear that song. Almost, they want you to do that. They're just going to repeat it over and over because there's songs that I didn't really like, and all of a sudden I hear it at work and I kind of like it.
They grow on you.
Or you get to a point where it's
Yeah.
like over and over, I hate it.
Yeah. So,
You
the
know-
baby. You guys are familiar with that rapper?
I've heard
No.
of the baby.
Okay, so there's
What song?
he grew on me. Like, I can't remember what song it was specifically. He's had some of these rap songs, like the more you hear it, like you first hear a song, you're like, oh, I fucking hate that shit. But then you hear each time you hear it, you like it just like a little bit more.
That
You know
happened
what I
to me
mean?
at
Like,
Williams a lot, actually. Like,
Yeah.
hearing all the crap we'd hear at Williams,
Yeah.
over and over, and every night you work, I'd hear the same songs. I'm
Yeah.
like, man, this is like the radio.
Maybe you don't actually like it. You're just fucking like
Familiar-
you're
maybe-
brainwashed by it.
No,
like-
sure.
Or you're familiar with it at this point where it's like, I heard some song the other night. I'm like, oh, this reminds me of being at Williams 2 years ago working with Jenny Morris. That one about collard greens or something. Do you know what song I'm talking about?
Kendrick.
Yeah, is it Kendrick Lamar,
I think
maybe?
it might be like collard greens.
Yeah, I don't know. But anyway, I heard that song. I'm like, oh, this reminds me of being at Williams like 3 years ago. Like,
Yeah. Well, that Touch Tunes was a big seller for us. Even though it brought in a bunch of shitty clientele at times, it brought in business.
Yep.
And like Scott, I don't know, has he enabled the rap music?
It's rap now. There's
It's rap
spending
now?
tons of money on that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Well, which is actually a good thing because I'm not listening to the same shit all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Although I definitely feel old because everybody's like, "Oh, I love this banger." I'm like, I've never heard that song in my life.
The one night I was in there, though, someone loaded up the jukebox with Run the Jewels, and I really like Run the Jewels, but it was like it's discography. Like the next 48 songs are all Run the Jewels.
Oh,
I'm like,
my God.
Which I
Someone
like Run the
actually
Jewels.
played that?
Yeah, and I love Run the Jewels, but I'm like, man, this is a little much. And like,
Yeah.
I've been playing that newest album recently, in my car. and
Did
at
they
home.
fast play every Run the Jewel song? I learned you have to fast play
Yeah.
Friday, Saturday night soon. I remember there was this one time our Fatal Ball. Actually, it was a Monday night too, so it's kind of sold back when I used to hold down the Monday night shift over at Williams, and. He had a little bit to drink that night. He was walking up to customers sitting at the bar, asking if they played a song, because he was basically fighting for the touch tune spot.
Yeah.
He was trying to figure out who kept skipping him. He was
gosh.
getting salty about it.
Man, that Alfredo Ball character, he's something. I ran into him, I don't know, maybe a month ago. I was at a tavern. I ran into him, and I was like, God, this guy, man, I thought I'd never see him again. He's still alive?
yeah.
He hasn't been coming in that often.
Is he still with that one girl, do you know?
He was with
Tuesday?
April.
Well, this chick
he
that-
broke with her, and then he was with April for a little
His
bit.
ex works at Williams now. One of them.
Yeah,
What?
You guys want another beer?
Yeah, I'll have another beer.
yeah. It wasn't that long.
Interesting. Well, whatever. I mean, he's just someone I didn't think I would see ever again, and I saw.
There you guys go.
He's one of which one you want?
I'll take mango.
He's one of those regulars that's kind of gone a little bit downhill.
Yeah, most regulars do. Anyone who goes out drinking that much at any bar.
Is he still drinking his gin and tonics like 7 a night? Like,
Oh, I'm sure he was. That shitty ass well gin. Fuck.
He started slowing down. Well, his thing is he just wanted to play pool, and he'd get mad if somebody didn't want to play pool with him. I mean, he really was. He would get mad because nobody would want to play with me. What the fuck you want me to do?
Yeah.
What are you, a toddler? I'm not going to hold your hand, man. Just
well, then go to another bar that's got a pool table. Maybe you can play some pool up there. Like go to the CC Club.
he just started getting crabby.
Well, yeah. I mean, he was crabby all the time. He's crabby. You know, he was cool, but then he'd like get so drunk and he'd be like, "Where's my phone?" Blah blah. Blah. I'm like, dude, get out of here. Like you gotta go. I kicked him out on more than one occasion. You know, I mean, I don't know. I liked kicking people out anyway, so it was my pleasure. But
Yeah.
also, you're letting the penguins out, leaving that fridge open like that, Daddy.
Oh,
That's like Justin. You know Justin, right?
I don't know. Maybe
He was a chef. He has a long.
no, you would know Justin.
I know you know it.
And he used to come
went
be
way
big.
down,
Yeah, he used to come in a lot. I feel like if you saw him, you would recognize him.
Okay.
And when he's kind of like the similar to Unforgettable. One of those regulars. First meet him, good guy. Used to come in all the time. Tipped well. You know, I'd always like comp one of his drinks or whatever. He was in the industry. He was a cook. He worked at some like kind of fancier place too. Like he made like some. He showed me pictures of the food.
Yeah,
that he
dark
did.
hair, kind of like a taller, bigger dude.
A
Yeah.
little bit bigger guy.
Yeah, I know. He was.
Yeah.
We were cool.
He's super cool, but he'd come in late. Oh, dude.
But over time, he just went downhill, dude. And he get drunk, he turned into a real fucking asshole, dude. Even like towards me and whatnot. I remember this one time we had to kick him out. And he didn't pay his tab, and he fucking threw his wallet at me.
Yeah.
Like
He's dating a shit show. They're both shit shows now. It's really bad, dude.
It is what it is.
I mean, he's basically 86 from our place, from Tav, from Cowboys.
See, I've never gotten 86. I don't think I've ever got kicked out of a bar. How do you fucking even get kicked out of a bar?
I haven't been cut off in a long time. And I get pretty fucking drunk. Well, yeah, I mean, I should have. I mean,
I know, yeah, I've never gotten cut off too. But like the only times I've actually been like beyond fucked up, well, I should have been at Skyway Theater where I've seen bartenders like just rip lines and blow off the fucking bar top.
like your boy Jonesy.
No, not him specifically.
Is he still working there?
He has Jonesy has a girlfriend. I found out.
Oh, really? Poor thing.
I know.
Not him.
One of my friends sent me the screenshot of Jonesy's Facebook saying that he was in a relationship, and she's like, "God, do you think we should warn that girl or what?" I'm like, I'm sure he already kicks her ass anyway. It doesn't matter if it's whatever.
Well, he deserves it.
Yeah, well, he's a pile of shit.
I was just gonna say he's a piece of shit.
I wish he would unblock me. Like, I mean, I haven't tried to text him in a while. Maybe
he'll see. Maybe he'll see this pod.
Yeah. Oh, he blocked me for sure. But
maybe you'll see this pod and come beef.
After that night, I was like all hammed up and like scooted over to his house to kick his ass, and then he like
on your Razor.
No,
your
on my
scooter.
Yeah, on my scooter. What are you talking about, Razor scooter? You dumbass.
Yeah.
What am I, 14? No.
Yeah.
On my pink scooter.
Okay.
I scooted over to his house.
That got stolen, right?
Yeah, I got stolen. Me and my roommates both got stolen. But I was so drunk, I like drove past his house. I'm like, man, I'm coming up to Lake
what the
Nicholas.
fuck is it? Yeah.
Yeah, and it's way over on like Lake and Harriet. And I'm like, oh man, I'm 8 blocks past his house.
Yep.
Like, well, maybe I gotta go to Subway first, but I didn't. And I went over to his house. I'm screaming in his front yard to come out. He wouldn't come out. Then by the time I got home, he's like, "Where you at, pussy? I thought you were gonna come fight me." I'm like, motherfucker, I was on your front lawn screaming your name like a lunatic to whoop your ass. Like, I've already been over there. I'm like, I'm home now. I'm like, I'll whoop your ass tomorrow if you want. Come fight me now, you little bitch. I'm like, God. And I'm
my God.
seeing 3 different texts because I'm, smashed.
He was kind of crying wolf, right?
Yeah, he's a little bitch. He can't fight anybody. And he would always like, well, what would he say? He would say dumb stuff like, "You won't fight me because you're gay," but he would use other terms.
What a good reason for not fighting
fighter?
someone, dude. You're gay. Like,
yeah. He would be like, "You fat little fuck. Why don't you go fuck one of those boys?" I'm like, what? I'm like, what are you talking about?
I laugh at people think like homosexuality is like an insult.
Yeah, and I'm like,
that's like when you're in like fucking 5th grade. You know what I mean? You're like, ooh, like he called you gay. Like,
yeah, this isn't the 90s anymore where it was like, whatever those terms. Like, I don't try to use those terms.
Right.
But like, dude, you're so gay. I'm like, even if I was like, I'd still whoop your ass. It doesn't matter.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, I'll beat the shit out of you and then I'll go suck my boyfriend's dick.
Yeah.
Like, what does that say about you? You got your ass whooped by a gay guy. Like,
it somehow offended you.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know, man. Jonesy, that kid's a piece of work, but I missed him the other day. He was in.
You missed him?
Yeah. By like 20 minutes, he was at Max 20 minutes before I got there. And
Industrial?
Yeah.
The new one?
He hangs out in Northeast, I guess. Because there was another day he was at.
I remember the Iron Door was kind of his spot.
Yeah.
in that area over there. Same owners.
Well,
Which RIP to the Iron Door.
It's coming back.
Is it? But they're moving locations, right?
Oh, I don't know.
God, Uptown's going to be so fucking different, dude. Jesus
They're already
Christ.
working on...
The one on Lake and Lindale, it's almost done.
Yeah, they were working on it today when I drove by. I'm like, they said October. I don't think it'll open until November, but I was like...
Okay.
Really? It looks
nice.
Yeah, they've got the boards off the windows and they're doing work inside, so it'll be...
I did see tables and chairs out there, though. At least I thought so.
They probably were out there from before. You know, they were chained up and never moved.
No, I mean the ones on the inside. It looked like there was tables and chairs.
Yeah. I saw them stacked up when I drove by today. The 3 times I drove by it, but running around. But yeah, no, Jonesy was at Mayslax before I got there when I went and played, because I went next door to play some pull tabs. I missed him, and then he was at Max Industrial and I missed him. I mean, not that I would do anything, but
right.
No,
isn't that funny? Like, you always
how much you've been drinking, though.
Not at all.
You always kind of like
no. Why? I mean, I can't do anything like that. Like, I'll get in trouble at work. I can't whoop Jonesy's ass.
And you got to think of like it's a worth it, right? You know what I mean? Like, yeah, you want to whoop this dude's ass.
Does he deserve
this person deserves to get their ass whooped? Yes, but the thing is, you're the one that's gonna face like some harsh consequences for doing so. So you got to weigh shit out. Like, is this worth the jail time and losing my job? No.
But he's also one of those people, he gets his ass whooped and he's going to whoop somebody's ass. And you know who that's going to be.
Yeah, it's going to be some girl.
Yeah.
Because that's what he does.
So it's like, what is it? It's not worth it.
Yeah, well, he's going to whoop some girl's ass no matter what, because that's the kind of pile of shit he is anyway. So he deserves to get his ass kicked by whoever does it. I don't care.
Yeah, I remember seeing him at some shows over at the Skyway Theater back like before everything kind of closed down. I went to a few over there.
Yeah, he'd hook you up, give you all the free beers.
Goddamn right he would.
He had some friends come in.
I remember I had like fucking get like 8 Captain and Cokes, bunch of water bottles, take a couple shots with them.
All for free.
You know, I mean, I tip them fat.
No,
but they don't give a fuck over at Skyway, dude. Like,
that sounds like a
he's like
model to me.
No, honestly, no. Like,
and I hate that stage, dude.
All the bartenders do that. First of all, like
slanted.
Yeah,
it's horrible.
It's pretty awkward.
And they're always doing metal. I'm like, that's the worst fucking.
I remember like I went there with this girl I was seeing at the time. And I was on that slanted floor. I was kind of fucked up. And the DJ was like, hey, everyone put a girl on your shoulders. She's like, babe, let me get on your shoulders. So I put it up there. And I honestly thought I was going to go down, dude. I'm trying to like I'm focusing more on just like keeping my balance on this fucking sanded floor. Who knows how many fucking, vodka sodas I'm into by this point. Like, by then, if I was like in the clear head, I'd be fine. But dude, that slanted floor has fucked some people off.
Is it like really slanted? Or I've never been there. I've only been upstairs.
It's not like an extreme slant, but it's definitely noticeable.
It's like at least 5 degrees or something.
Yeah, I also remember the last time I went there.
You can't mosh or nothing. There's no way.
Okay. No, you can mosh there. You can mosh at any place.
They do it, but I
just think moshing is a really just like stupid thing, like in general to do. Like, I get it. You're hyped up. You want to you want to just like fuck someone up, and kind of like want to be aggressive and get some testosterone on your system. Well, one of my good buddies though, like he was moshing at a rock show, and like he got pushed and just like he slipped on an ice cube, but it's like a quick knee jerk. You know what I mean? Step back. He like tore his fucking ACL from it. From moshing, and like little things like that can happen, dude. Especially when you get older. Like he's older than me. So,
and you're an athlete, Doug, and you're in prime physical specimen, but you could still tear an ACL, no problem.
Yeah. What if I'm too big to mosh? I don't want to scare all the little EDM kids. EDM mosh pits are very civil. Like they're not like.
I don't even understand moshing.
See, a metal mosh pit. I feel like they're actually trying to hurt people. I went to a show.
Well, it matters
with
what show you're going to.
Well, I can't remember what bands were playing, but I went to this show. It was at the Caboose. It was like my first like heavy metal show with my old roommates that lived here once. I saw a new side of my buddy that day, didn't I? Because he's a very like kind of introverted guy, kind of he was shy until you got to know him. Yeah. You know what I mean? Listen to just like so heavy ass metal. Anyway, went out to a rock show with him at the Caboose one time. And dude, the people that when they would mosh at this show, he would fucking be flailing his elbows. He was like as tall as me, and he's a lanky dude. Yeah. I mean, he'd go in there like walking around like this. Like just and I'm just thinking, I'm like, dude, if he catches someone in the eye, you're gonna get fucked up. Like, he's a pointy elbow, lanky motherfucker, dude. And I'm just thinking, like, would you just, like, fight someone after that? Because if someone, like, busts me in the eye with their elbow, shit's going down.
Oh, sure.
Like,
the elbow thing started, because I'm old, it started with the smaller guys would do it. In the punk scene.
Oh, so you did it.
No, I did it too. Yeah, of course I did. But I never would swing them. I was protecting my face.
Yeah.
Because the other guys, you know, they're
Or they like you get the not even moshing, but you get the push of the crowd, and it's like, all right, I kind of want to, you know, have
you're
some.
not supposed to be swinging elbows.
Yeah.
But
I mean, push really hard.
yeah.
If you knock somebody down, just get them back up. But
I was getting to the EDM mosh pits, so they're mainly like kids that are just like bouncing into each other, like a bunch of like, you know, bunnies. Like with autism, like
A bunch of autistic rabbits.
a bunch of autistic,
they're
like
punk. That's all they did.
yeah, they're just like autistic bunnies that keep like colliding into each other. Someone like falls down, they like help them up. We're like, oh, nice push, dude. Like,
They rub their hands through their hair because they're all doped up.
oh, dude, that feels so good, dude. Oh my god,
Guzzle their water.
just super hot, dude. Oh, I'm so hot, dude. Washing.
I can only imagine.
Yeah, what's that mean?
Do you know
Smoke?
what that means or that?
No.
No, no.
What does that
Potty?
mean?
To go potty?
Oh.
Potty? Yeah,
Go
you
to
can
the
go
bathroom.
potty. Do you guys want to just take a little quick breather? You guys
Yeah,
want
we
to go
can take a quick
smoke
break.
too? That's
Yeah,
a
I'll
good.
go smoke a
That's a
cigarette.
good break time here. We'll be right back, ladies and gentlemen. I'd say, but I don't know, like all that
I
shit.
think
Like,
it all depends. It's all relative.
yeah,
Like,
and I think one thing I've kind of come to terms with myself, I used to kind of judge people that if they moved in super early, if they got married super early. But as I've gotten older, I was like, you know, like if it feels right, it feels right.
Yeah.
Like who gives a fuck? You know what I mean? Like who am I to say that you guys got married too soon? Or you guys are, you know, you shouldn't be doing this like that early on in your relationship. Like it's their relationship. It's not mine. It's not
your
yours.
opinion doesn't matter. in
And I
that
always say
aspect,
it's
but-
about timing anyway, though.
Yeah.
If it's the right time.
Have you ever lived with a girlfriend?
Oh, I've lived with a few.
Have
yeah.
you?
I probably one of the first times I've moved out of my parents' house. So I moved out when I was 18 with actually Big Brian, some of the biggest complete shithole party house.
Yeah.
But anyway, after that, I met a girlfriend. Met a girl who became my girlfriend, I should say, and then I moved in. She's actually basically how I came up to the cities.
Okay.
I moved in with her and her dad, if you count that. I don't know. Why
Yeah, that's
not?
fine.
Yeah. That's when I was 18, like 19 years old. And then we lived in St. Paul, right by the halftime wreck, actually. And because it was really close, that's why I got the job at Ruby Tuesdays and met Jim because the Rosedale Mall was only like 10, 15 minutes away.
Yeah.
You guys familiar with the halftime wreck? And and Gabe's.
Yeah.
Gabe's.
I mean, I've been to Gabe's. I've never been to Halftime Rec, but I'm
So
familiar
this
with it.
neighborhood was right across the street from Gabe's. The neighborhood that we lived in.
Yeah,
There's like
over,
Gabe's
like-
there's a little residential area like right across the street from Gabe's. It's right by Como Park Zoo.
Yeah, I was
Anyway.
gonna say that's kind of like by 280 and Energy Park Drive over there,
Yep.
not it?
Yep, right over there. So that was the first time I ever moved in with a girl. And then I met a girl at Ruby Tuesdays who we ended up getting serious with, and I moved in with her too as well. So I've lived with 2 girlfriends
Okay.
by now, which I don't know. I've learned a lot, dude, to be honest. Like, they've definitely helped me mature up a lot. I used to be a lot messier back then. Like, I learned that, like, just doing shit like the simple things like the dishes and the laundry. Because I'll be honest, like, I'm pretty messy now still. But back then, I was really fucking bad.
Which reminds me, I have to do my dishes when I get home.
Yeah.
I don't do my laundry anymore, so like, I just pay someone to do it.
Do you really?
Yeah,
Why?
there's that service in Uptown. It's a buck, $1.25 or $1.50 a pound, and they wash, dry, and fold it for you. It's awesome.
Yeah. And then also I learned, like, you think you know someone, like, you really figure someone out when you live with them. That's like a next step in like a relationship too, I've noticed. Like, you learn like people's bad habits that you don't see when you're seeing each other, and even if you're seeing each other every day, but say I always go to like Steph's house, or like she always comes over here, you know what I mean? When you're just doing that shit, that person kind of has time to like clean up the mess, kind of get things ready or whatever. Sure. You don't see how this person like truly lives. And,
Are we live right now, by the way?
Yes,
Okay.
yeah.
I was like, this is actually pretty good conversation.
Oh yeah, no, I started it a while ago. I figured I just started it right away. It's
Okay.
kind of nice to just start it and not say anything. You know what I mean?
Yeah, okay. I don't know.
Yeah.
So I was like, this is really good content. I didn't want to have to all repeat ourselves, but
no, Danny.
anyway, yeah. So yeah, you do get to see a different side of someone. I think I've never lived with a girlfriend,
yeah.
and I don't know if it's being a commitment phobe
Right.
or what it is, or I've had the opportunity and I just kind of never have done it, but but yeah, I think when you're around someone like all that time versus, them coming over, like you were just talking about, it's totally different. I would assume it would be totally different.
Yeah. And yeah, there's a lot of things I learned. I also learned one of the key things, if you are living with like your significant other, living with them doesn't mean you're hanging out. Like one of my girlfriends, she used to get mad at me saying like, oh, we don't do anything. You know what I mean? I'm like, oh, what do you mean you live together? That was my line. I thought that was enough. Like, what are you talking about? We live together. Like, we see each other all the fucking time. Like, no, you got to go out. This one, like, you actually got to go out and have date night and shit. Like, do something fun. Like, hang out together.
Yeah, well,
like, not just each coming home from fucking work and then sitting on the couch together. That's not, like, yeah, you're together, but you're not really spending time together. Yeah. You know what I mean?
And I think it's different, like...
Yeah, and I didn't see that back then.
Yeah.
Like...
It's different, like, yeah, you both come home from work together and you guys cook dinner together and you guys, you know, eat dinner and watch a movie together versus, like, turning on, you know, the news and just, like, watching that and going to bed. Yeah. Those are totally... I mean, that's one you would consider date night. Be like, okay, we did this activity together versus we just mindlessly checked out at this point.
Mm-hmm. So, like, well, how long did you and your girl live together? The whole time? Yeah. I'm sorry, your ex-wife, I should say.
No, about a year. So it took about a year, and then we moved from Colorado Springs to Boulder, and then we lived together. So it was only like a year.
Okay. Yeah, the smallest things, like you put the peanut butter in the wrong spot, dude, that shit starts a fight sometimes. And it sounds so petty, right, over time. But like I've been over to my friend's house, like, again, like we were younger, like mid to early 20s, like at the time. I was shouted to my homie Brian, actually. And I remember this one moment, like specifically for whatever reason. And his baby mama at the time, like yelled at him because like he didn't like, there's something with the trash. Either he didn't put the bag on it or he didn't put like the trash can in the right spot. It sounds really small, but if you've lived together with a significant other and they tell you this one thing like 1,000 fucking times, and they've had, you know what I mean? I mean, they've had like one long day at work, dude. They gotta tell you again. Like, yeah, I can see how like these little things like can get blown out of proportion, like eventually, if they're not like taken care of. And like, I don't think it's even like putting the peanut butter in the right spot. It's more so if you're like you're not listening.
Yeah. I was gonna say that's part of a relationship.
Yeah. And I don't necessarily think, I think it's more than just the peanut butter. You know, like you were saying too. It's like you're not focusing on their needs, or you're not focusing on what they're saying or taking what they're saying as important. Mm-hmm. And this little thing of, you know, not putting the trash bag on right. And that goes in it, not only just like living with a girlfriend or
just having roommates, really.
Having roommates or work too, same thing, right? Like how many times at work do I have to tell you to wipe down the bottles and you don't do it? And I'm like, you know? I know it drives you crazy, but
see, I also
clearly it's a little thing though. It's like, oh, okay, if that's driving Smalls crazy, let's just do that because that's what drives him crazy. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that means you care a little bit.
Yeah. And I'm like, why don't you pull any money and sell anything? That drives me crazy. And I understand that's a skill issue, not a will issue. Like, you know. So that drives me crazy. But I'm like, all right, we can work with that. But me just not spraying down the bottles is me deliberately like, fuck you or whatever, however you want to look at it. Like, you know what I'm saying? And those are two different things. If you can't do something, I can teach you. But if you're deliberately have the ability to do it and you're not doing it, then that's another issue. Yeah. And that's where I think we're in a relationship even too. It's like, okay, if you can't reach the top shelf to put the peanut butter away, I get that because you're 4'7" and I'm 4'9" and we can't always reach the top shelves. Not all of us are like 7'2" like Doug, you know, but if I can, I'm just not doing it and I'm leaving it on the counter. I'm leaving my pizza box on the counter. Then that's, okay, well, that's a different issue. So,
and especially, it piles up over time.
Yeah.
Like, you know, like there's nothing worse than cleaning up after someone. Like some people love cleaning, but majority of people don't.
That just goes back to communication. You're not communicating then.
Yeah.
You know, like my ex and I.
Like, how was your guys' living situation? Like,
how was it?
Yeah. Like, how did you guys like do when you lived together for the first time when you moved in? Pretty compatible, like.
Oh yeah, well, I mean, it's one thing I learned is I'm very organized. I wouldn't say I'm the cleanest, but I'm very organized. Like my cups need to be like this, that kind of thing. And like kitchen table, I don't want nothing on the kitchen table.
I know that drives me crazy.
It drives me nuts. And she would always put all her papers and stuff like that. And when we're going to school, but she learned, okay, that's just that one thing that drives you nuts. So I'm going to do that. You know, I even had my area, like my office that was my very clean, organized thing. And then she could have another area where it wasn't organized or whatever.
Sure.
It's just little stuff that's easy to deal with, you know?
Yeah. But I think a lot of people probably do communicate. And I don't know if there's like just stubbornness or pridefulness and the other person, like just they just ignore it or they don't see it. You know what I mean?
Or like, I agree. Or like I said, too, it's a matter of importance in your hierarchy of importance. And you just don't think that their needs are important to you. So that's why you neglect them. And if it's as something as keeping the dining room table clean or picking up your socks in the bathroom or whatever.
Yeah.
You know, it's just little stuff like that. Like
that goes with in like any relationship.
yeah.
Like even friends. If I care about you, I'm gonna listen to you.
Right.
You know.
Even with having roommates, dude, I've been lucky with the roommates I've gotten here, but I've had some shitty roommates before, for sure.
I definitely.
I'm sure you've had a lot of roommates.
I mean, I don't know if I've had a fair share of roommates, but I haven't had like a ton. I've had a lot of roommates for long periods of time. And there's quirks, and like my roommate now, I lived with all through undergrad, and after college we lived together with some other people, and I took her in when she was going through a breakup, and I'm like, okay, well this is what we'll do. But now I'm getting to the point where I'm like, I'm kind of ready to live alone again.
Yeah,
and I'm almost like, I wish she would move out. So, I would never tell her this, but I'd be like, yeah, it'd be fine if you moved out. I don't wish you to move out, but it would be fine if you moved out. I could do this on my own. I mean, our rent's not expensive. I would have way more room for activities than,
you can have sex in every room when you bring someone over.
I mean, I do that already.
Okay.
No, I haven't had sex in a long time, so I don't know, Doug, you're looking pretty good over there.
Nice. I've still been working out, dude. All quarantine. Gyms are closed. I ordered a weighted vest, resistance bands. A lot of people gained weight, dude. I fucking lost weight. I did a sober month even because I felt like I was drinking way too much.
Yeah. I put on some pounds, but not like I've seen some people that are like, what happened to you in the 6 months? I'm like, I put on like 4 pounds, and I'm like, just weighing myself from, when I was in New York to now. I'm like, okay, I put on like 4 or 5 pounds, and I can easily lose that. And I'm like, you put on like a quarantine 30. Like, what were you doing?
This is going to make me sound like an asshole, but I wasn't the most attractive guy. I didn't really get a lot of girls when I was high school. I was a late blossom, you know what I mean?
A late bloomer?
Yeah. I was a late bloomer. I'm sorry. I love it. I love it when I see some girl that used to be super hot that I went to high school with at the Army of Worms, and she's just fat now. And she talks about how great I look. And it's happened a lot. Like, it does.
So that makes you feel good now?
It does. Goddamn right it does. Like,
I mean.
And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. Like, you gotta take it in. You know what I mean? It's good. You gotta have some ego about you to build some sort of confidence.
Yeah, I would. I would agree with that, but I also
like there's
don't.
A balance in it. But
yeah, but I mean,
because back then,
the ego is you're worried about what somebody thinks about you, right?
Yeah.
So why?
Kind of.
Yeah.
No,
I don't have to have an ego. I don't really give a fuck what you think, really.
No, I don't either, and I don't really
have
care
a relationship.
Yeah, and I also don't really care. Like, you used to be hot, now you're not. Whether it's I don't know what it could be. You know what I'm saying? It could just be going.
Well, I think it goes to show how many people like don't really take care of themselves. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like as they get older.
I mean, that could be part of it, but I also am not gonna look at you and be like, "Well, ha ha ha!" Like, look at you now.
Yeah, like I said, no, it sounds kind of like an asshole thing to me to say. Like, I'll agree with that. Like, I won't lie. No, I mean, it's definitely a dick thing for me to say like that. But I think it's just because, like, I guess I have some spitefulness in me too.
Yeah.
Because of the way I was treated back then.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
I understand.
So, like, I think of how I was treated back then by, these certain amount of people. And then here we are, 12 years later in life. I'm like, well, at least I'm not the fucking kid that peaked in high school like this person was,
Yeah, true.
Like,
I'm still waiting to peak, so I don't know.
Well, see,
mine's never going to happen.
Yeah. I feel like I'm still waiting to peak too. And I think I feel like you should, whether you've peaked or not, whatever the fuck that even means. Like, you should never feel like you already did. You know what I mean? Yeah. I always feel like I'm still... Peaking isn't even a fucking thing for me. You know what I mean? I feel like I can always kind of get better. Sure, you maybe plateau for a little bit in life, but you can get back up there, stop climbing back up the mountain eventually.
Sure.
Yeah, I think there's definitely like always room for improvement and growth, whether it's from a mental aspect or from a physical aspect that you take, you take your physical aspect very serious. And it's like, there's still room for growth for you, and you'll never peak in that and be like, okay, I can always press, or I can always push for bigger, better PRs.
Yeah.
Or stuff like that. And same with like the mental capacity. It's like, okay, I graduated from college. Now I'm going to push myself to do grad school. And, I hope to never have to do any more education, but I'm like, who knows, maybe 5 years down the road, I'm like, I'm going to go back and get my doctorate. And be like, I hope that's never the case, but you never know.
But you might want to do it just because you're bored. Like, that's why I'm in school right now. Like, because when August came around and I wasn't working, you know what I mean? Well, I had money saved up. I was like, I gotta fucking do something. Yeah. And I was like, I'm not gonna go back to a restaurant, you know what I mean? So that's why I signed up for online school. I fucking hate online school personally. I would actually rather be in the classroom. First of all, it's really fucking easy to cheat. online. Like,
it depends what you're doing.
But you're cheating yourself.
Yeah, well, you're cheating yourself, and like,
but that's what you're spending all that money.
Yeah, but
you're spending all that money for somebody else to do the work, and you're not getting the fruit of your labor out of it. You know what I'm saying? Like, so you're not learning anything.
Yeah. So I still do all the homework and all the assignments and whatnot. You know what I mean? But dude, okay, Quizlet. You guys are familiar with that website?
No.
So I don't know where these teachers get their curriculum from, but some of these, they'll be like, and they'll say it like, teachers aren't dumb. The school understands. Like, okay, if we're doing online school, anyone can do whatever the fuck they want. So like, they'll say, hey, this is an open note, kind of test shit. But for my PC architecture class, when we take a quiz in that, it's an open note quiz. They say all that. There's this website called Quizlet, and they will literally have word for word, question for question in order going down. And I'm just thinking now, the students, you got to have some integrity. Because like I said, I'll still do all the reading. I'll do all the homework. And even when I'm taking these quizzes or tests, I'll put my answer in, you know what I mean? And then I'll go use my notes or whatever to see if I was right. No. And then if I was wrong, it's change it. You know what I mean? I'm not going to if it's an open note quiz, you'd be dumb to not to.
Well, I think every quiz should be open note. Because that's how the real world. That's how the real world works, right? I'm not going to ask you to do something in the real world and be like, all right, well, you can't use any resources or you can't use anything.
And you bring up a really good topic that we going on for hours about, because I don't believe taking a test, like if you do bad in a test, that doesn't mean you're a dumbass. You know what I mean? I'm one of those people that, dude, if you give me a fucking test and I had to sit down, dude, I get anxiety. You know what I mean? I wasn't that good of a student. You know what I mean? I know that happens to a lot of fucking people. There's probably a lot of really smart.
You were a bad student.
Hold on. There's probably really a lot of smart kids that they just freeze up when they take tests and they fucking bomb it. They're not dumb. They feel like so under pressure, like they're under that microscope during that time. And so I know there's been studies about how much does a test actually reflect someone's intelligence, about something. Because you make a good point, dude. When you're out in the real world doing these jobs, dude, everyone's got one of these with them.
Yeah.
I mean, I understand so learning the subject matter, and I'll use, let's use statistics, for example. I understand learning the long way of how to write an ANOVA table or use, other stuff. I can't think of even an ANOVA table, for example, analysis of variance, right? Mm-hmm. And why that's important and learning the principle and the theory behind it. But in the real world, I have Excel to do that for me, and I can put in all my information, and Excel will print out an ANOVA table for me. So I think learning the theory or the practice or the principle behind something is good, but tests don't really show your application of it. They just show what you can memorize of it.
Yeah, sure.
So,
Absolutely.
And that's where, to your point, where people get anxiety, and it's they're just racking from memorization, not principal application.
Right.
And I think if you're going to test people, principal application needs to be more important than what you can remember.
Absolutely.
And that's the difference, I would say, the difference between undergrad and graduate school, where it's everything we do in grad school isn't test-based, or nothing is. It's all paper and application. And this last 8 weeks, which was super tough for me, is all application of stuff I researched. And I'm going to remember that far more than I am, how to write an ANOVA table from a stats class, or figuring out, the annual percentage rate on this yield like I took in finance classes, because I have calculators for that. And I have, resource material that I can look up and be like, okay, this is how you do this. I can do anything I want with resource material.
Yep.
I can become a DJ and learn how to run the application.
Yeah.
But
that's intelligence.
And it shows that you can do some thinking and you can absorb knowledge. If you do get one of these jobs where you get put out in the field and you kind of you maybe hit a wall, that you're able to go to resources on your phone, look it up, and then kind of teach yourself how to do it in the moment. Not everyone can do that. It sounds easy, but it's not. Not everyone has that.
I would say that's really easy, actually. Yeah. And I don't know who can't do that.
You'd be surprised, dude. Because I feel like I'm the type of person, I can watch a YouTube video for about anything nowadays and teach myself how to do it. Some people, they just
I suppose
don't,
Well, we're all different.
But and we're okay. So they learn in a different manner than watching a YouTube video and using that as practical application and then doing it.
Yeah.
Bartending is a really good skill like that. I can tell you how to make drinks, but that doesn't mean you can do it. Sure. Or I can teach you how to make drinks,
Yeah.
You know, you can go to bartending school, I guess, and they're good. Like they teach you the common drinks, but it doesn't mean you can do it. It doesn't mean you're a bartender where you have to multitask and do multiple things at once. You know, you have to remember drink orders. You have to make all those drink orders. You have to remember that you owe this guy $4 in change. You have to remember that you need another bottle of Captain, right? So those are all applications that you learn just from on the job training, and it's not something I can teach you, but that's stuff you learn on your own.
Right.
But I can teach you how to make drinks, but I can't, you know, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't force him to drink, right?
Right.
Same kind of process.
Professor says an interesting way to think about resources. What kind of resources are you talking about there, Philly? If you don't mind chatting with us. You also went to college, right?
Yes.
Coolidge?
Yep.
What was your degree in?
Aeronautical engineering. I know, a long time ago.
I think we fucking just disabled my brain for a second saying that.
I can't even spell that.
I just got paralyzed real quick. Like,
Wait, what?
Just one of those degrees that someone gets.
I mean, I think you have to be pretty smart and have to be able to apply aeronautical engineering. Is that what you said?
Yeah.
I don't even know what that is.
Yeah. What kind of engineering is that?
Aeronautical.
Aeronautical.
Well, what is aeronautical?
Fixed wing and roto. So airplanes,
Okay.
helicopters.
Just say airplanes.
Yeah,
Don't
but
let that.
There's so much stuff. I mean, I dealt more with like airflow, Bernoulli's principle, wings. That's what I focused on.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So you got an.
And to me, it was just I just worked hard.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm not the best at math.
Yeah.
Like when you get into the 300 level calc.
I could tell by you not even knowing multiplication tables earlier.
I went a little bit.
So the professor says
really hard.
it sounds like resources can replace knowing. So I think okay. Now that you say that, I can dissect that a little bit. So what you're saying, Phil, correct me if I'm wrong in the chat.
Is he going to call in here?
We could get him on a Skype call. Actually, probably we can get him on the Discord if you want to hop in, Philly. So resources are replacing people's knowledge, so people don't have to actually study and I guess learn anything.
Resources give you knowledge.
Because it's more important to work with your resources, and you need to have both, right?
Yeah, and that's again like what I said. You need to understand the theory and the practicum behind it. But so you have that knowledge, but you have these resources versus where you don't have to memorize.
Right. Because if you don't have the knowledge, the resources aren't going to mean anything because you're not going to know what you need to find.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, exactly. Right. You're not going to. I'm trying to think of a real life application here. If I don't have the knowledge of how to make a drink, I can't just go behind a bar and make a drink. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I'm not going to know what to look for. I'm not going to know. And obviously, throughout time, that becomes muscle memory and you retain that knowledge. And I'm not saying I'm as good as I was maybe 2 years ago, but like I could still do it.
Yeah.
You know, if I had to. I mean, I'd still be faster than you, but.
Yeah. Well, it's funny that you bring that fucking.
I don't know.
So I was my first, time bartending like a week ago for the first time in 7 months. Dude, I had some anxiousness going back behind there. You know what I mean? I was like, fuck, I haven't done this in a while. It's been a long time since I've even worked at like a regular restaurant. You know what I mean? Yeah. But like you said, it's muscle memory. I got back there, dude. It was like riding a bike. Yeah. You know what I mean? It really was.
But again,
it'd probably be the same for you. Like, I felt like I was kind of moving slow at first, so like kind of like taking my time. But after I poured a few beers, made this dude a dirty martini, so he liked it. I was like, all right. That I felt like was the test. This dude asked for a martini. I was like, fuck. Haven't made one of these in a while. But I was like, it's fucking easy. It's just a bunch of vodka, tiny bit of vermouth. Like
So to Phil's point, then obviously knowledge or resources don't replace knowledge, because in any job you're going to need to have that knowledge, and you're going to have that base to build off using the resources that you have at hand.
Yeah. The professor says, you can read it right here too, guys, if you want to. The desire to dismiss tests has caused the confusion.
The desire to dismiss tests. Okay.
Has caused the confusion. I think your chat's starting to cause some confusion.
Yeah, I don't know, Philly. I guess I'm not understanding the context behind it necessarily. I mean, I can see what he writes, but
we could talk about the education part of it. Like I had a major, like when I went to Augsburg, one thing that they were really focusing on is not final assessment. So you'll have 4 or 5 tests, and it could be 50, 60% of your grade, right? It should be summative assessment. It should be every day. Like, again, you know, I could have a bad day. My ex and I could have like gotten a fight, and I didn't do well on that test, and then all of a sudden takes away 15%.
Yeah.
Right. But that's not who I am. That's not my intelligence.
Right.
But that stupid.
And that's something like people
that.
don't like. You forget to factor in, right? A lot of things. So what else is going on in this person's life, especially when you get older? You know what I mean? The chances are when it comes to the romantic relationship type shit. I was just talking about you guys. What happened? Like my situation with last night that we can get into later if we have time. But if I had to take a test like the next morning, it's like. That's all that's on your mind. You know what I mean? Sometimes. Like, if it's something romantic or maybe something happened with your family or whatever, or it's a close friend, like, it's hard to, like, get focused and, like, recall some of this information, dude. Like,
I would say you're weak and that you need to harness your mental toughness and overcome.
I would say that you're a pussy, dude.
That's your WAP right there, No, I understand it. Obviously, your mind gets clouded. For example, this last class I took, I had 8 weeks of it. And it was every weekly project was a paper that built up to our final paper. Okay. And so we would write a paper. Week 1, so I picked Spain, and it was just on the demographic of Spain, the percent of people of color, the percent of residents or whatever, the elevation, stuff like that. Whatever. So I write this paper, I turn it in, I get feedback. Same with week 2. Week 2 is on, employment law. So I write about employment law, and I turn it in and I get feedback. So our final is take all these 8 papers you wrote, turn it into one paper using, in the series, and take the feedback and apply it to turn in your final paper. So then I think that's where testing doesn't really apply because it's cumulative to the point of I'm taking the information and I'm fine-tuning it to the specifications that was asked, and then turning in a final project. Yep. Where it's not like, okay, if I turn in 1 week and it's really shitty, it's not going to kill my grade, but it's also like, okay, so here's the feedback I'm giving you, go back and change it and then reapply it at the end of the semester.
Gotcha.
So that and I don't need a test for that, you know what I'm saying? And that's 1 week's not going to kill me, but I'm progressively learning about a different aspect, 7 different aspects, 8 different aspects, I should say, of focus, whether it's employment law or employee benefits or, general knowledge, I called it, whatever it is, data privacy too, and stuff like that, where it's like, all right, here's your feedback. Now I'm going to fine tune it so it can be more in depth or be more of what you wanted. And then this is my final product that I'm turning in. And I think you're still learning, when I was finishing it up last night, I went back and looked at week 1. I'm like, okay, well, here's what I need to edit. And now I'm relearning this information. I'm taking this into practice and changing it versus, again, tests are all just like, memorize this.
Yep.
And I'm going to see how well you can memorize it.
Yeah. And how often are you going to need to know this specific question?
Yeah. Sure. Whereas I think math tests are actually really good because math is a definitive answer.
Yeah.
And it's like, all right.
It's objective. Yeah.
Memorize this theory. Memorize Pythagorean's theorem. Here's a problem that you're going to have to use it and show me that you know how to do the work. And then down the road, you know what? I'll have resources to do it, but I still know how to do it. I still have the fundamental basis behind it. Whereas, there's some things that are really subjective, like, tell me
any communications degree,
or even,
I mean, let's be honest,
any English theory, right? Like,
yeah, English is a good one too. Like,
because it's very subjective. And like, if I give you the question of like, explain to me Romeo and Juliet's relationship and why do you think it would not be effective in the year 2020 versus whenever it was, right? And so you and I and you could have all different views on it. We could all be right because it's our opinion.
And there's no objective answer to it. That's why I was really grateful that I had such an awesome like English teacher when I was going to college, because when he would assign a paper to us, we wrote like 4 papers throughout the year. And he would really stress it to us that, guys, I do not care what it's about. He would have certain rules, like you guys need to use he would have like shit like certain like transition sentences, kind of stuff like that. It would basically need to be like a certain amount of pages, your intro paragraph, your body paragraph, and like he would have these like objective literature rules that you would have to follow. But what you ever like actually wrote about, he didn't give a fuck. Yeah, you know what I mean? He wasn't grading you based how good your story was. He was grading you if you could actually like understand like these literature rules. Yeah. Like, because there are rules to it.
Yeah, there are. I mean, it also depends on like the style of paper you're writing. Like we write all our papers for publication. So they're not narrative. They're more narrative than they are feeling based, right? Like all the papers you write in high school, they're all like, this is what I feel and this is what I think. Where mine are all like, here's what the research shows.
Here are the facts.
Here are the facts. Here's my sources that I've cited because there's 20 of them. Yeah. And here is the evidence that I'm providing for my conclusion and for my basis on this.
Should we read the professor chat? Okay. The inability to dismiss the testers causes people to question how we, all caps, teach people, all caps, instead of simply teaching those ready to learn. It's almost as if public education was designed to prevent people from learning. Child labor law is no accident.
All right, so I would completely disagree with Phil on this one, because the public education system is designed to give a foundation of knowledge, and you might be like, well, what am I ever going to use? Why am I ever learning how to sew in my home economics class? Or when am I ever going to use Pythagorean's theorem? Or when am I ever going to use credits and debits that I'm learning in my high school accounting class? It's all building a foundation to figure out what you are good at and what you want to study going forward. And so that's what the public education system does. And they have a curriculum and be like, all right, it's a ton of knowledge, but we're going to let you have this basic foundation of it, and how you want to apply it is kind of up to you.
Yeah.
You can go to high school and get straight A's.
We'll lay the foundation for you. You choose what side you want to build on, though.
Yep.
Phil says, of course, I would disagree with him.
Yep.
And so I think the public education system does have failures in it, and there's, teachers that are tenured that just don't really care about students and watching them.
It says you're confusing learning with the function of the system.
Okay, so the system's not for learning, or is the system flawed?
The system is flawed.
Well, I keep thinking, like, in my head, going back to like summative and final assessment, is I don't even think you should have any grades until the very end.
Right. Well,
because whatever I was learning or wasn't learning in the middle doesn't mean shit. It's the final assessment.
Yeah. Well, and even then, like in high school,
it's the very end of the year. A teacher can go, oh, okay, he was failing here, he wasn't understanding this, but at the end, he's now got it.
He got his shit together. Yeah.
So now that's what you should be graded on. You should be graded on the very, very end, right?
Yeah, you should grade on the final project, and that's where I think the weighted graded system is really good. I still think you should grade the effort so you can see continually where you're at and where you need improvement. Versus just feedback too. Be like, okay, this is where in areas of need improvement. This is where I've got this. Same thing, right? There's weeks in my paper where they were like a lot of good knowledge, a lot of good sources. So I didn't have to go back and edit those really at all. And there were ones where like need more depth, need better sources. So then I went and edited those, and they were all graded. And so I could look at it and be like, okay, well, that was the basis I was using, right? So I still think you should be grading all the work that's done between the beginning and the end. But I feel like the final project should be weighted.
So why should you be graded from the beginning, though? That part I don't understand, because they can grade you, but should that be part of your final grade? A teacher can go, I'm going to grade you so I can figure out, okay, are you understanding this? Are you putting the work in, right? But and they catch that, they work on that, and then...
So you're saying like the grade should be how much you improved then? Because at the beginning, some people, they're going to start up here and others are going to start down here.
Yeah.
Now... For people that start up here, maybe they only end up here, so they only go up a little bit. But maybe the person that starts down here ends up like out here. So the gap is they made a much like bigger gap jump, with like knowledge that they've gained than the person who started up here. But who deserves the better grade then? The person who ended higher, or the person who made, the further leap in knowledge in the class, throughout the year?
I mean, think of an athlete, think of a wrestler. The beginning of the year, they're not doing so well, right? They have a kind of a lower record. They're ranked like 15th, and then they peak finally and get like second place.
Yeah.
That's all we care about is that second place, right? So why in education are you going, oh, you got a 60 on this test, so that's part of that percentage at the end, when all of a sudden at the end, you're getting 90, 95%. Shouldn't that be it? Shouldn't that be that 60% shouldn't have any weight at all, should it?
I think so too. But that's why the grading too, it's like your A, right, is 190%. So you have that area of buffer to be like, okay, well, you had a 60% in the beginning, but that doesn't totally affect the outcome of your grade at the end.
But should it affect it at all? That's my point.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
So I think as it's cumulative, right?
Yeah.
I don't think you can also put all the weight on this one final project and be like, all right, otherwise there's going to be people...
I just talked about that as I don't like final assessment.
Yeah, but by the final project, I mean the final outcome, right?
Sure.
That's what I was trying to get to. Because otherwise there's going to be the people that don't put in any effort And they're like, all right, well, then this is all I had to do. And I don't think you're learning anything at that point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What is it, because you know it already? Or
Yeah.
well,
I mean, I think about that, like with my son, really high IQ, got it from his mom. He
Sure didn't get it from you.
He didn't know sweat equity. You know,
Mhm.
he would barely get by. Like he could easily ace everything, but he would just B was fine for him. You know,
B is
so
fine with me too.
but no,
Yeah,
a
like-
lot of it he wasn't gaining the knowledge that he could have. It was, you know, his short.
And
his short-term
grades don't
memory's
always mean
insane.
intelligence. One thing, sorry for interrupting, one thing I've
That's all right.
noticed is that,
No, they don't.
like A's, just because you get straight A's doesn't mean you're the smartest. It means you work the hardest.
Look at us.
I know everyone. Like, it's like boom. All right.
I almost wish.
Should we read some of these out here? We got some more
Yeah.
chat flowing there beyond. You're confusing. Oh, no, we read that one. The system isn't required at all, except for public taking. You do know that all organized education came from churches or other private interests.
Says the guy who's really into organized religion, by the
Yeah, I
way.
was gonna say.
Where there's no scientific evidence to provide any sort of
I would have been
factual
at the-
basis.
Yeah, well, I would argue about the organized religion because
Or maybe Phil's not an organized religion.
he's
just
not.
really,
He's his own thing.
he's
but,
really into Jesus.
but he's definitely into religion, which is not.
You know,
bad.
maybe this is
Yeah,
how we
talk
should
about-
do podcasts with Phil. That way,
Yeah,
like,
because
we
he
just
won't
have
be
him
able-
on there. That way we can, other people can actually talk and and respond to it. I was giving him a joke. So after the first debate, like the very first one was just a giant shit show.
Yeah.
Like I was laughing at because I talked to Phil and our buddy Mike that we game with. I was like, dude, talking to Donald Trump is kind of like talking to you, Phil. You just don't let anyone ever get a word in. Like,
And
they
you
ask
just
you a
spew-
question.
well, and except
like-
for Phil's a lot smarter than Donald Trump.
I was just gonna
for
say
sure.
a lot smarter than Donald Trump.
Yeah. Okay. I would have been at the bottom of the grade school review time drudgery. Am I saying that right?
Well, then maybe you should have worked harder at it, Phil. I don't know, like put in more effort.
Then he says, gotcha! Public schools are great and voting is really important.
Okay, for one, I never said public schools are great. I think the principle.
They were flawed. No, sorry.
I said they were flawed. Yeah, I absolutely agree that they're flawed. They're not great by any stretch, but they are good at laying a foundation of education and at least attempting to teach and open up your mind a little bit.
Yeah.
I mean, you could be a closed-minded person where all you believe in is, you know, Austrian economics and religion. I'm just kidding, Phil.
No, he's not.
You know, there are other, and Phil's good at that too. Phil's very awesome about like looking at other things, even though what he believes in is right. He is open to looking at other.
He'll hear you
ideas.
out.
He does,
Which is
well,
really
he does
important.
research. I mean, he does.
Yeah,
Yeah.
though I will never discredit his amount of research he does. Like he'll come here with three ring binders full of research that he's done, which is rad. It's
He writes
way
more than
prepared.
anyone. Like, I envy you for that, Philly. Like, the amount of times, like, he'll bring in a notebook and just, like, full of shit and say, like, he just filled up his last one a few weeks ago. I envy that. I wish I wrote more. I really did.
Yeah, and that's something
actually
like if Phil was in graduate school, like that's what he would excel because that's all we do is write papers and
Yeah.
do research, and that's all it is. And he would excel at that. I mean, they would probably knock his grades down because his research was too much and his papers were too long. You know?
Yeah. Oh, Phil told me a story one time. I forget what grade you're in, Phil. If you're still here, you can remind us what grade it is. But like his teacher, he got assigned a 3-page paper. He wrote 12 fucking pages and gave. He said his teacher's fucking eyeballs about to pop out of his head. Like, what is wrong with this kid?
Well, because there's more than just Phil in the class, so I get that from the teacher.
Yeah.
Like if a teacher would be upset about that.
I mean, I'm never going to
If
discredit.
it says 3 pages, it's 3 pages.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it is.
You kind of broke the rule if you did 12.
Yeah.
But that's how Phil. That's how his brain works.
Yeah, he's very thorough and very researched and very intelligent.
Yeah. One thing I admire Phil for that I actually just enjoy listening to people is whether
This is
I
turned
agree
into a
with you or
jerk-off Phil
not.
session now, by the way.
Yeah, I know.
Every jerk
Well,
off
I was
Phil.
just thinking, like, well, I want to pick on him about religion now.
Yeah, I'm not going to.
I'm not going to do that because
No.
that's his thing.
But he's whether you agree with him or not, he's able to illustrate his, his theory or whatever he's spewing about. He's able to illustrate in a way where you can at least understand what he's talking about and where he's coming from.
Mhm.
I like a lot of people that do the TED Talks are good at that too.
Yeah.
I appreciate people are just good at, kind of giving those lectures. I spend time working out thoughts. That paper just kept drawing me in.
Oh, got it.
Well, you keep drawing us and Professor Phil.
I know. Again, like I said, this turned into a jerk off Phil session all of a sudden. But
Well, when's the last time Phil's been jerked off?
I don't know, maybe Phil, other than by himself.
By himself, I was going to say.
Yeah.
I mean, probably that's why he covers up the camera on his phone. He doesn't want the government looking at him when he's jerking off.
Yeah.
Unquote. He told me that one time. I was like,
Did he
okay,
really?
yeah.
Who cares if they see?
You know, what do you got to see?
I
I
mean,
mean, like, if you want to see my dick, you can look at
I
my
was
dick.
going to say, you can put cameras all over my bathroom. I don't give a fuck.
Yeah, well, that's a little bit weird. You fucking toilet cam, dude.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, if people
I'm never going to the bathroom at
at
Joe's house. He's got like one under the camera right there, like saying at my beehole, like weird fuck.
Yeah, the toilet cameras.
No, I don't know. Like they probably are watching me, and I have nothing to show. Like they'd be like,
I'm
this
sure
fucking
they are.
boring guy.
Yeah. Well, I don't do anything different. Like, I mean, if you're just logging on to Pornhub like everyone else is, dude, you don't have anything to fucking worry
No.
about.
I don't
Like-
log on to Pornhub because I don't want the viruses on my computer.
No, it's safe, dude. That's why. So no, it
It's
is.
safe?
It's got the fucking the green little check mark in
Oh,
the
so that
bottom.
makes it safe.
No, it does actually.
What, the Norton? Is that?
It's verified. I can't think of what it's called specifically at the top of my head, but you go to
Well, the
certain
green-
websites.
The
like,
green check is
let me
Norton.
pull one up right
The
now
green check's
here
Norton,
for
I
you.
think.
Let me pull one up here right now.
Not
for
a
you.
creator's
So when we go,
faith.
Theory are incoherent.
why don't you guys read it out
Well,
for
that's just an
everyone
opinion
here?
there, Phil.
Yeah, that's.
You don't.
There's no
need-
evidence to support that.
It, not at all. And you don't. Well, for like myself, I don't need a higher power.
Well, he says without a creator and faith,
don't need
the
a creator.
basis for theory are incoherent.
I would say so. I grew up super Christian, and Phil and I have talked about this.
Me-
and
me
like,
too.
You know, I was going to go be a youth pastor and all this stuff, and then I really found out that I like drinking booze and having sex,
Okay.
and that just didn't really go well with being a youth pastor. So, but my parents are still super religious, and that in hand too. They're also relatively Republican, and they seem to go hand in hand. But you know, we were talking one day, and I was like, well. I've had this conversation with Phil too, and I said, "Okay, well, you guys can be religious and you can believe in this, you know, zombie Jesus, whatever." And I'm like, because of you and where you live and who you are, you're Midwestern white people. You believe your religion is right, right? Well, yeah, Christianity is the only one out. Is the only way. You know, I am the way and the truth and the light, and blah blah blah. I said, okay, you understand? There's 300 plus other religions out there, and who says yours is right? And to their point, you know, now that they've gotten a little bit older, they're like, okay, well, maybe there is no evidence to support any of this, but at least we're going to believe. We're better off to believe and be wrong than to not believe and be right, you know,
Yeah.
or to believe and be whatever, however my dad said it. I said, okay, I get that. And I'm like, yeah, you can take the Bible and they're life lessons and you can live on them. And like, they do teach you a lot of good life lessons.
Mhm.
Like, you know, don't covet your neighbor. Don't whatever the other 10 commandments are, you know? So I give them that.
Don't sleep with my wife. Don't take my bike.
Yeah.
Yep.
But you know, I guess I'm more agnostic now where I believe there is something out there, but I don't believe that there's a Jesus or there's a God, you know, because there are so many religions. And I'm like, I'm no religious, you know, theory.
I do think that's a deal with like maybe the generation that you grew up in, and you were raised in, and like kind of because the Catholic religion used to be a lot more strict back then. When like me, so I was born in '91,
was really strict for
and
me.
my mom is very religious
I was raised
actually.
very
but
strict.
I guess like you could call her like a very progressive Catholic because she did go to church every Sunday, but she's also, you know, she teaches chemistry, so she believes in science. She actually believes in evolution. She believes that it's okay to be gay, and that's how I was raised. So she raised me to be like this type of like progressive Catholic.
Oh, okay.
You know what I mean? So I think a lot of it has actually like society has influenced a lot of like things on like on modern day like, you know, religion too.
Mm-hmm.
Compared to how it was back then, because it doesn't seem as strict now. And now, like when you do see somebody who's like who grew up in some small town in fucking Iowa, that's some super strict Catholic family, you feel bad for them. Like, dude, like that's like some cult shit, you know? Like,
Were you ever an altar boy?
no, I wasn't really.
You were, weren't you?
I never
I
was.
was. Yeah.
We didn't have them in my church.
I had my first communion.
Well,
All right, we got some more
I think I told you,
messages
I went to,
from Chad
I went to
in here.
Catholic school all the way to high school. Well, one thing getting into like, you know, talking about, and my dad and I talked about this. I think I even told Phil this, is that again, there is over 300 gods. You believe in one. I just believe in one less than you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So why, but we want to freak out about it. It's just one less.
Yeah.
Okay,
I mean,
so we got
I don't criticize you for not being Mormon.
we got messages from the professor. Something from nothing is unobservable. And questioning faith is your way of self-elevating intellectually. Science only finds validity in pre-existing deterministic relationships. And don't claim I'm taking shots after zombie Jesus. 5 years.
What do you mean 5 years?
Yeah, I don't know what 5 years is, but
That's how been it's long since he's jacked off.
Oh, now you're jabbing him.
Yeah.
I was like, wait, what? I'm so confused. Okay, I get it now.
Can I go to the one thing?
Yeah, no, finish your things, Falls. Finish your
I
things.
just want to kind of skip to this. Is like religion. I told Phil this one time is that I'm atheist, but I'm a realistic atheist, which means that
Altar server, 5 years.
I can't prove that there is a God or there's not a God.
Yeah,
right.
Which is kind of more like being agnostic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, I'm
because being atheist and agnostic are different.
Well, for me, again, that's when you get into science. So this whole anti-science group lately, a lot of them are very religious, and it's like a dialect. It's like opposing sides. Faith is, you can't prove faith at all. Right.
Well, you don't even have to be religious to have faith, I would say.
True.
Well, that's true. But let's say a God, you can't prove that at all. But
you can't really,
science,
in reality, you can't prove anything.
It's true.
You know what I'm saying? You can definitely have evidence to support within a level of confidence, but there is no definitive proof in anything.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? And that, scientists will tell you that too. They're like, yeah, we are doing these researches and we'll do 1,000 tests and we might have, there's always an outlier. We might have 999 that come back with the same results, but there's always one outlier. And that's everything in life. There's no definitive proof in anything, just like there's no definitive proof of there being a God or anything like that. But there's more scientific evidence to provide. There's more scientific evidence to provide there's not a God than there is to provide that there is a God.
And I agree with that.
Yeah. And nobody ever said you were
that's one thing
forcing.
I got, that's why I got really interested in physics.
Yeah.
Because that's the closest thing to fact that we're going to get.
Mm-hmm.
Because you have the science, so you have this hypothesis, this theory, but then math to back it.
Yeah.
So that's the closest thing to fact that we're going to get.
Exactly. Yeah. And again, you can do something and you can do statistical research and analysis and be like, all right, well, I can say within 99% confidence that this is going to happen, but there's always going to be an outlier in everything.
Yeah. Well, and I think some people would argue that like the Bible is probably the only factual evidence that we have of any religion or like proof there is God.
No.
I think some would say that.
Well, because some would say that.
Yeah. I think some you could definitely argue that is like that everything that happened in the Bible is facts. Some people believe that, you know what I mean? That the Bible is 100% true.
Well,
like if you taught the Bible as history instead of like, a mythology, what type of influence would that have on kids at a young age? Teaching them as history, like this happened compared to like, the mythology, like this, we don't really know if this happened or not, but this is kind of like the story of it.
Well, that depends on your education too, and like where you're educated. Because I took Old Testament, New Testament history classes, and
it's history. So they taught you like, no, this is real.
And this is when I was in college,
right.
So it was still. But I went to a Christian school for my first 2 years, and it was like, it's still open for interpretation, but this is the evidence that we have to support this in these writings, right?
Mm-hmm.
So again, it was still open for interpretation, but Phil disagree with me, but there's more scientific evidence to provide that there's not actualization between the Bible versus scientific evidence to provide that stuff happened from the Bible.
Right.
Yeah. And I'm not saying that I have seen no scientific evidence of where God has turned anyone from a man or an angel into a snake. Like you've seen.
Yeah.
There's no scientific evidence to support that.
Right.
So I would almost throw that out as a myth. But it's a really good story, and there's a really good parable behind it, and there's a really good lesson to be learned from it.
If it's a positive thing.
Or even if it's a negative thing.
Well, an outcome.
Yeah. If any outcome is what you learn from it, right? We do negative stuff in our life, and we learn the outcome from it.
We probably learn more.
Mm-hmm. Hopefully.
So again, that's where my with the Bible, I think that's a very good instruction where it's like, okay, here's a bunch of stories and here's the outcome from it. You can apply that to your life. Yep. I'm not going to say it's like on the same par as like Aesop's fables.
Yeah.
You think of that story like the grasshopper and the ants worked hard all summer long. The grasshopper just played. And at the end of the wintertime, the ants had all this food and they were more prepared and they took in the grasshopper, right? Yeah, there's a lesson to be learned about that. Don't waste your time. Be prepared. Set yourself up for success, or you're going to fall on your face and have someone else have to take care of you. Okay, there's a lesson I learned from it. You can learn all those lessons from the Bible, and I would say the Bible is more geared towards teaching you lessons than, again.
So you don't have to make these dumb, silly mistakes. You know what I mean?
I mean, you'll still make them. I mean, that's free will.
Part of
right?
learning, yeah.
That's part of life. You have free will.
Some people have to make the same mistake like 7 times before they actually learn.
Oh,
that's
exactly.
me. Like,
You know, and here's my other thing too. You know, all these Christians are like, you know, you look at this Bible verse, you know, you look at Jeremiah 29:11 for I know the plans that I have for you, blah, 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 blah. But then they'll argue that they have free will to make these decisions. I said, well, your book is contradicting itself, saying that you have free will, but yet I know already what's going to happen to you. So there is no free will. It's already planned out for you.
mm-hmm.
So where do you know, and I think Phil and I have had this conversation, like, where do you draw the line then?
Yeah.
Is there free will, or are you just going to do whatever you're going to do because your creator already knows the outcome?
Right.
And
your life is, everything's already predetermined too.
Yeah.
Like every choice is already, it's been set in stone, you know, like somewhere.
You're not pulling the wool over zombie Jesus in God's eyes.
Yeah.
You're like, haha, I fooled you.
Right.
Because that's, you know.
There is no exceeding God's expectations. It's kind of like a saying that I once heard in the book. Like, you know, I want to exceed God's expectations. You know what I mean? It's a good saying. I like it. But, like, some people believe that, like, God knows all. So that's impossible to ever exceed God's expectations of you.
Well, he's omnipotent. He does know all. Like,
Right.
He is the creator. He's the Alpha and the Omega. The Alpha and the Omega, the beginning and the end.
Yep.
You know?
Everything.
Yeah.
The dick and the balls.
Yeah.
All right.
I mean, I don't know if that's everything, but I mean, he knows all the hair. He knows the exact number of hairs on your head, and, you know, whatever, all this, you know, stuff that you read about how all knowing he is, and he's the only one that can achieve perfection, whatever, that's fine.
Mm-hmm.
But so then, you know, it's like, well, you can never exceed that. So then why even try? If he already knows what's going to happen to you at the end, then why even do anything?
Yeah.
Like,
Why even bother trying?
Then why is there suffering?
Yeah.
Right? There's no reason for suffering.
well, there's no reason for suffering, but they're suffering because man bit the apple in the Garden of Eden. Or the female bit the apple. I don't even remember
the
how
female did.
Female bit the apple, and
the
then
man
she
gave the
tricked the
rib.
male.
Yeah.
And then, so now that's why we have sin
She
in
had
our
that
life.
Eve had that wop, dude.
Yeah.
Okay.
Eve
so
had
because
the
of what
wop.
Eve did, we're all punished. So
Yep. So she had that wet ass pussy.
Yeah, she had that. You know, they ate that apple, and then all of a sudden they were ashamed of their naked bodies, and they had to cover themselves in the Garden of Eden. And but God knew right away. So like, he already knew man was going to falter. If he knows all, then why even put him in that position? Like,
Yeah.
you know, and that's why we have suffering, and that's why we have Christ.
Unless he
that
did
means
it intentionally, wanting them to make that
and
mistake,
wanting them to
you know?
suffer.
So then what you're saying is that,
But also
they
giving
had
them free will at the same time.
but he already knew what was going to
So
go
it's
on,
kind
right?
of his fault, right? Like, you set me up for this. Wouldn't it be God's fault?
See, it's very confusing to me because it's like I'm giving you free will. You can eat from any tree in the garden here except for this one.
Yeah.
So you have free will to do that. But I already know that you're going to falter.
Yeah.
So
And I'm still going to let it happen.
yeah, I'm still going to let it happen.
So I'm still going to let you suffer.
Mm-hmm.
You know, theologians could be like, it could have been very easy for God just to not create that tree, the tree of knowledge or the tree of good and evil or whatever it was called.
Yeah.
You know, and I was
But
like, okay.
it would make sense that, like what you're saying, like he created it knowing and wanting them to do that.
So
Wanting them to rebel to extent, because
Yeah.
I think that's the only way you could actually like exercise and prove to God that you do have free will is by doing something he had told you not to. He advised you not to do. Right? I don't know.
Yeah. And to Phil's point, he says science has no capacity. He's correct. Again, to my point, where there's no factual proven anything, we could go on forever doing theories and tests and achieve 99.9% confidence, but there's always that one outlier. So there's no capacity. So you could continue to do tests to get as close to 100%, but
you're never going to get
you're never
there.
going to achieve 100%.
Yeah.
Right.
So yes, Phil, you are right. Science has no capacity. Where it sounds
Wow,
like
I think that's the first time I ever heard Troy say Phil's right. He goes, I'm glad to hear you all discussing this.
well, I know, because usually when we discuss it with Phil, he's just talking over us, and we can't get a word in, and nobody has a mute
Phil,
switch.
this is what the type of conversation we would have with these guys here if you actually would let them, you know, finish a sentence without screaming and going on 20-minute rants.
You know,
I've said it before. He's very passionate.
Yeah, I was just gonna say he's very passionate, and good for him.
Nothing
Like,
negative about that.
he has a lot of passion for a lot of stuff that I don't have a lot of passion for anything. You know what I'm saying? Where it's like, I wish I had the passion for some stuff like Phil does for religion or Austrian economics or
just anything. That type of energy and like
communism.
enthusiasm
Yeah, I
you
definitely
could
don't
put
have
towards
that
whatever it
for
is.
anything. I mean, I could have that as being a musician or being scholarly or trying to go out and get laid. And I'm just like, you know what? I just don't fucking care. at this point.
Yeah.
Not that I don't care, but it's
You
like,
sound like me. That's kind of my thing.
man, I mean, at the 40, that's already
I
like,
care about getting laid. I mean, even like knowledge, I don't read as much as I should. You know, that gives me more knowledge for sure.
well, yeah, I
I
mean,
don't even retain information like I used to, but that's on me, man.
Yeah.
well, I mean, that might have something to do with your age.
A little bit.
I mean, onset dementia could
And then
be coming on.
you know, hitting my head a lot snowboarding. Probably not good.
I got a guy that I work with that just turned 50, and we give him a hard time about his age, but he looks 50.
Okay.
We give him a hard time about his age. He's not super thrilled about me all the time. But he's also a lazy piece of
but
shit
I
at
mean,
work,
if
too.
you're not-
And, so-
well, okay.
and I call him
But
all
if
the
you're
time,
not
too.
thick-skinned,
You mean you have to be in every industry? Well, in my industry,
I
in
think
your
in
industry,
life
like,
in general, you need to be kind
Yeah,
of thick-skinned.
I had a manager tell me when I worked at Rudolph's, and if you remember Rudolph's from a decade and a half ago, you need to be thick-skinned, short memory to work here, because there's a lot of shitty people that come here, and and a lot of fucking stuff will be said, and he's like, thick-skinned, short memory. And so I've always held that true. I mean, I've been in the service industry for a long time. I understand that's how it works.
But especially right now
Yeah.
with COVID, it's
People are really, and
I have to
even
push
myself
things
too.
away
Like I
really
said, I
fast.
worked 40 hours overtime the last 2
Yeah,
weeks.
fuck.
I am really short with some callers.
Yeah, no, I
real
believe
quick.
it.
I'm really
wears
short
on
with
you,
people
dude.
in general because of my height and my anger. But,
Yeah.
he's at that short man syndrome height.
well, yeah, you know.
Well, that's the one thing you can't change about yourself.
I know.
Yeah.
You're
I'm still
fat, you
waiting
can
at-
lose weight. You know what I mean? You're skinny, you can, put on some muscle, dude. You're short. The surgeries that they do for that, like they fucking chop your shin in half to insert like a metal plate.
Wait,
And
what? That's a thing?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, but the
Like, did
it's
they
like
put
they literally
artificial
like they
growth
cut
plates in
like
you?
they cut like your shin or somewhere on your leg. Yeah, they like
the bone
slice
will
it.
grow, so they'll actually do
And
it.
they put like a metal plate in there. But when you think about it, like
Is
that
it
sounds like
expensive?
such a major surgery, and like the amount of pain and like healing process that you'd have to go through after that to get what, like 2 inches.
Yeah, and you're gonna have
It's not like they're
arthritis
sitting a
later down
fucking
the road.
foot long rod in ya,
That's on you then.
That's, I mean, that's all
Worried about it.
cosmetic,
Like
I
being,
guess.
I love being 5'2". Like if anybody says anything about my height negatively,
They
I'm
need
like,
to figure
whatever.
out. I think they'll figure it out eventually. They need to figure out some sort of like growth hormone so they
Why?
can
You
just
mean,
like
like-
But why?
You
kind of
mean,
like how chicks like inject fat in their ass to get a big butt. They need something that people can just inject and make them get taller.
You mean like HGH, like human growth hormone?
That's
Oh,
totally different.
some chicks like they inject oil.
Well, I know, and yeah, they inject poison in their lips to plump them up. That's Botox. Botox
Yeah.
is a poison,
Okay,
and that's what gives them plump lips.
all right.
And yeah, they have
Those DSLs.
DSLs. I've always thought about getting calf reductions because my calves are so big
I'll
and
take
great.
some of
See,
them.
mine are too skinny.
Mine are the opposite. I have
Yeah.
no calves, man.
If I would pull my jeans up, but my skinny jeans are too tight where I can't because my calves are so big. They
Just so
talk about them at
jacked.
work. Yeah, I mean, you can even see.
They talk about your
huge
calves at
calves.
work.
Yeah,
I have fucking huge
Like,
calves.
oh, you had
My
really
buddy
nice
says to me, he's like,
calves.
yeah, you got huge calves because you're fat. Thanks, Dick. He's like, yeah, fat people have huge calves. Like, of course they're really muscular. They have
That's
to
not
carry
true.
around the rest of your body. I'm like, oh, fucking
Yeah. You like dissed you, but kind of gave you a compliment at the same time. No, should we wrap this up, boys?
Yeah.
It's 2 hours in. I really have to pee too.
I gotta get some work done.
So do I. Thanks for coming, Daddy.
Yeah,
It's
no
been
problem,
a
Daddy.
while.
It was fun.
It was a good pod. I always enjoy having you on here. I enjoy hanging out with you.
You know, I really wish you could model it, kind of like, do you watch Around the Horn on ESPN at all?
we could figure something out like that. I
And
think
then,
we
then
could,
you can be the moderator, and then when
well, I think we could definitely do something like that if we have like certain topics and certain questions that like, and if we had like the right group of people.
that's
we
what I
wanted
always
to
talked
do
about with
stuff
Phil.
on.
What I would like to do is have like a topic board, and we all get to spin it, and then we get to focus on 3 30-minute segments
Yep.
of 3 topics, and we can only talk about those 3 topics and not get off course. And I think that'd be really fun, just to like whatever they are.
I'm
like,
always open minded, dude. We can definitely try something like that.
yeah, I mean, and then it would be like, because I do like when we talk, but we just get on these long tangents and we talk about whatever.
Yeah.
One of the podcasts I listen to a lot is the Stuff You Should Know podcast.
Okay.
And it's crazy cool, like the stuff they talk about. And it's all like, why voting sucks. And then
Yeah.
it's like, how does thermodynamics work? And then
Sure.
the next week is like, why do birds fly for life and not for fun?
It's all over the place.
Yeah, and it's all got a bunch of evidence, back up their discussion. So
He says, why question anything to modify these beat sacks?
Oh,
what?
okay. Explain that, Phil.
Meat sacks? Are you talking about my calves again?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that'd be a fun idea. And then it's like, all right, well, these are 3 topics we talked
Yeah,
about.
we could do something with that. I want to figure out something. I have been thinking of something we could fun to do with the election coming up.
Well, yeah. I mean, can we dress up on costume like our
I was wondering,
because I'm going to be Tiger King, by the way, for.
Oh my God, that's perfect.
well, I was thinking maybe
Yeah, my
we
phone
could
died.
all just like drink and like. I'm pretty sure that's free. They're gonna be streaming that, and that's free for us to watch. So we could stream it and watch it at the same time. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because Phil and I did that with one of the debates like a year or two ago. I think it was like when they're doing the Democratic ones. You know, when they had like 10 of them up there or
for the
whatever.
Democratic
Yeah.
nomination.
So those ones, they're all free to the public or whatever. So they will let people
Phil.
like pull up the streams, you know what I mean, and do like some kind of commentary over
Yeah.
that. I think maybe on election day or something coming up here, we could kind of all get together and just watch it and talk about shit and hang out and see how things
That
unfold.
would be a lot of fun. But we'd
What
have
day
to,
is election day on? I mean,
we'd
I
have to have a
understand
mute
it's
button
November
for,
3rd.
Phil, though.
Yeah.
Mute button for all of us. What day is election day on? Like,
think
what
it's
day
like
of
a
the
week.
week?
I have
Is it
no
a
idea.
Thursday?
I think it's like a week, just like it's a.
I don't think it's on a weekend. Phil,
We
what
can look
day-
it up quick.
Is
I can
the
look it up quick.
The 11th?
It's the 3rd, I thought.
Oh.
When is election day? No, it's the 3rd. Yep. Tuesday,
Oh, okay. It's
November 3rd.
Is it always on the first Tuesday? I don't know how that works. Is it like Thanksgiving, where it's, Thanksgiving is always on the last Thursday, or is it like
Yeah, I'm not sure. It
is
might
it always
be.
on the 3rd? I think it's always on the 3rd,
Yeah.
Tuesday, November 3rd.
Minnesota allows any voter to request a ballot by mail.
I already did.
Are you riding with Biden? Or you
I'm not-
bumping
I'm-
and trumping?
Nah, I'm definitely not bumping. That's for
you're-
sure. I'll be riding. Whatever. I don't vote straight blue, but
Yeah.
I definitely am
No,
not.
I'm just curious.
Yeah, I'm definitely not voting red. That's for sure.
For sure.
In that aspect. Did I tell you I'm gonna run for city council? I think in 2023.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah.
You mentioned that, I think, off air.
Yeah. So I really kind of like focusing
So
on
you-
that, and like
But you're going to be, you were talking about California, though.
I know if I don't move to California,
Oh, okay.
if I don't get a job like right away after graduation, I'll just stick here and then I'll run for city council.
Well, I'm excited to hear that. And then, who knows, this pod, and we're all going to be out in a few years, and maybe we can get you on here. We can talk about some of your ideas. And
Well, maybe
Get
we
your
need to
little
go back
campaign
and edit what
slogan.
I've talked about in the past. I don't
No,
know.
see,
Joey's going to be like,
I disagree
Joey's
with
going to
that.
call me up. He's like, I'm going to need you to delete every single podcast that I'm in real quick.
Yeah. So I think that'll be a great thing. But again, I have to wait to I'm going to try and go on the DFL ticket. Lisa Bender is our representative in Ward 10, where I live, who's also the president of city council here in Minneapolis. And so I just didn't think I could get the nomination this year.
Sure.
And I don't think I'm ready for it. But 2023, like if I stick around, that's going to be my plan.
That's awesome, dude.
Yeah, because I think just like any general politics, and not that Lisa Bender's this old, decrepit woman, because she's not. She's 41, but she has done a lot of good things, but she's also done a lot of bad things too. In my
Just like
eyes.
we all have,
Yeah, I'm all for the body cameras that she forced Minneapolis police to have.
Mhm.
That's great, transparency, all that. I was not in agreement with her $15 an hour minimum wage with the way that the statutes are writ for the state.
Yeah.
And I don't agree with her sick and safe time that is all employer funded. And that's what I don't like about the government, where it's like, okay, we're going to force you to do this, but we're not going to subsidize it or help you at all. And so I think there could have been a better way to go around it with her constituents. And those are strides in the right direction, but I don't think they
You
were.
think it could have been executed better?
And I'm not saying I have all the answers or that I'm perfect or that
Right.
my ideas are any better, but I think they are better. Actually, to be honest,
Well,
like,
they are, yeah.
I think it could have been thought out a little bit more. Unfortunately, like the basis of it is really good, but the execution was really bad. So, yeah, we can talk about that some other time.
Absolutely. Yeah, we'll try to get in touch. We'll talk about bouncing ideas, maybe get an election little podcast coming on here.
Beating some buns.
Yeah, beat buns to and all that. Joey Smalls, you got anything else to say?
No, man.
I didn't choose the Doug Life, boys. The Doug Life chose me. Philly out, as
Philly
he
out.
says on this one.
Philly OUT.
Oh.